Hey, it's the Giant Bombcast, number 651 for this 8th of September 2020. Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Shoemaker. We got the 5-stack this week. Ben Pack here, our mid laner. Are you up to the task?
I'm not going to gank anyone's lane, so please don't ask.
Okay. Who's the support in this crew here? What do you think?
I'll play support.
Do you think Jan is a good position 5 here?
I think Jan and Jason are our good 4s and 5s
Four and
there.
five.
We can, rely on them to set us up for success.
Okay.
Jeff is our silent off laner. He is out there carrying from the off lane.
I can see it.
Just tanking the aggro, just there in the team fight, ravaging everyone.
Off laners.
That's what I'm doing. I live to ravage.
It's the person who gets burly off by themselves and then just goes around and fights.
Yeah,
I live to rumble.
That
checks out.
That's pretty much the
I live to frenzy.
That's right.
There's a whole
Yes.
I like to boogie.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's been a bit since we had a full posse here because I had to go find the 5 window overlay because I had lost it because it's been like a month.
I guess it has. Like, God, it's been a fucking wreck of a month, hasn't it?
Somehow after this godforsaken holiday weekend, we all made it here.
Yeah.
we assembled because video games are back.
I guess so. I intended to play a decent amount of Avengers this weekend until it was pushing 90 degrees in my living room for most of the weekend, and I couldn't open the windows again. And then I didn't play a lot of video games instead.
My PS4 told me it got too hot and turned off.
I saw.
Wow.
Was that? I think it might have been Timur from GameSpot, or I saw somebody else on Twitter posted a screenshot of their PS4 doing the same thing. I didn't even know that could happen. I didn't know that it had a built-in. Hey, it's too hot. We have to shut down now. But that's pretty awesome.
That's crazy. Is that only on like base PS4s or?
No, his was a Pro. That's why I was surprised. Yeah.
Wow.
What were you playing Avengers when that kicked in?
Yes, I was.
I was playing Avengers when it was like super hot. Like, so it got to be I think 91 degrees inside the house, but that's like in the middle of the hallway where the thermostat is. So this room was probably actually warmer than that. And I played probably about 4 or 5 hours of Avengers while it was that hot in here, and it actually didn't shut down. So
I think the room we were in was probably like 102 outside, so it was probably like high 90s inside.
Yeah.
Maybe your PS4 is acclimated, Jeff.
Yeah, it's just gotten used to
the
it.
heat.
Yeah. It's got a thick layer of smoke covering all the vents to keep the heat out.
It's natural insulation.
Yeah.
Move over vapor chamber. Now we've got smoke chambers.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like when you oil a pan, so stuff doesn't stick
totally.
to
Yes,
it.
your PS4 is just seasoned from the previous round of wildfires.
Right.
So it's just ready to go. You pass that thing down to your grandchildren. They'll still be cooking eggs on it.
And it's that anniversary edition, so it'll probably, it'll be worth something when I pass it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Smoke filled. Hopefully not roach filled.
Smoked out this PS4 just for you.
That's right. Hot boxed this PS4.
That's right. I wasn't intending to start with news this week until I got up this morning and saw that some stuff happened overnight.
Oh yeah.
Probably so.
That other Xbox leaked.
Oops.
And
I was playing some games and watching some TV, and I was like, what's going on the internet? And it was like a few minutes after that stuff had shown up, and I was like, oh shit, I guess that stuff's out there, huh?
What time did that happen?
That was like
Late
8
last
or
night.
9 o'clock or
Really?
something like that.
Man, I just
So that's when
early.
the leak happened, and then overnight at some point, Microsoft just went like, yeah, but not all of it. You'll notice that like the leak was also the Series X is $500, and they're all out on November 10th. And Microsoft just very carefully decided to say like, yeah, Series S exists and it's $300.
Here it is. Here's the trailer. Here's the trailer that leaked. Now we're going to post it officially. So the only information they confirmed is stuff that related to the Series S, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't know if you guys have seen this, that the conspiracy theories are flying fast and loose. That this was like a controlled leak to force Sony's hand. I don't know how much credibility I would give to that idea, but
I mean, you'll note that they only confirmed the stuff that that does actually maybe put the screws to Sony a little bit. Well, whatever. Like confirming that, like, hey, the console exists, which that's the images that leaked were all of that, and also the idea that, like, hey, this thing's $300. That's a really low price for a new console. Like, obviously, there's a power difference, but
that is the low end of what they were going to charge for this thing, right? But also at the same time, like, it was like pretty predictable because that's right smack dab in the middle of between where these high-end new boxes are probably going to cost and like what a quote-unquote like super cheap one would, right? Like that's $299 is like decidedly mid-range at this point. So
yeah, I mean $299 is like that was what a PlayStation 1 was when they launched, right? When was the last time a console was $300 fucking dollars?
I think PS2 probably. Well, and like was the original Xbox also $299?
Yeah. Switch.
Yeah, well, Switch. Well, Switch is kind of its own beast, I feel like.
Yeah.
But for like a box under your TV,
right?
Yeah, probably like PS2, GameCube era.
Yeah, like that's a sweet spot kind of price that you look at. I think like that's when. When I talked about stuff like, oh, I don't think that they're going to have like a dramatic long-term problem over the name of the console. Like, this is why, because at $299, that blows the other Xboxes off the shelf. Because who the fuck cares about old Xboxes if this one is $300?
Yeah.
And
runs all the same games apparently, and is like largely the same console.
Right? Yeah.
So what exactly is confirmed about the box?
Well, so
like versus the other box.
So it looks like a sick ass speaker.
It does. Yeah. Let me pull up their trailer. Like, Microsoft didn't confirm like specs in a very like hard way, but I could read like what's in their trailer.
Okay.
It's all kind of marketing speak. They're calling it the smallest Xbox ever. Sorry, let me just. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. I'll read the marketing copy as this trailer whizzes by. Next gen performance.
Okay.
In the smallest Xbox ever, nearly 60% smaller than Xbox Series X. Cue up your boombox jokes now. Next gen speed, custom NVMe SSD powered by Xbox Velocity architecture.
Okay.
Incredibly fast load times, seamless game switching. Next gen performance for like, what is that, the fourth time? All digital gaming experience, so no
all digital,
no optical drive. Next gen frame rates up to 120 FPS.
Really? Wow.
Let's see, should be a little bit more here. Better with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. There it is. Okay, here is the summary at the end. This is what I was. Okay, actually, I could have probably just scrubbed straight to this. The big breakdown at the end of the trailer: all digital. 1440p at up to 120 FPS. Also, it's kind of crazy to me to see a line like that in like a mass market console trailer.
Yeah.
But it's where they're specifying resolutions for people who probably don't care that much. DirectX ray tracing, variable rate shading, variable refresh rate, ultra low latency, custom 512 gigabyte SSD, 4K streaming.
Oh, so it'll hold like one Call of Duty game.
Wow. 4K streaming media playback, 4K upscaling for games. That's the pitch.
I'm sorry, how big was that storage? 512?
512 gig versus a terabyte on Series X.
All digital, 512.
Yeah, so
and also a weird custom format that is not the easiest thing in the world to upgrade.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're going to be selling, you mean the storage upgrades?
Yeah, right.
Well, they're selling those custom cards, so I mean, it'll be as easy as buying one of those and shoving it in the back. It's just that might be pricey. Since it's like
that might be the difference between just getting a Series X and a Series S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since it's like one company making those and they're like Microsoft branded and, usually accessories like that are pretty high margin. Those might be pretty pricey. So that might, if you want to expand that storage, it might offset the savings on this thing quite a bit. Hard to say. But word on the street is like Patrick Klepek was out there tweeting about having talked to some developers about this thing. He described it as no joke. Like basically, suggesting that the power of this thing is like pretty substantial for what you're paying.
It's just not necessarily built for native 4K.
Right.
I mean that's the main difference is that this is built for people that are running at 1080 or I guess technically 1440p. But like, that's a weird. It's cool that it can do that. If you want to hook it up to a monitor, but
yeah, I was expecting just 1080p at maybe 120 hertz, but. Man, if they could just give me a stable 60 at 1080, that's a good benchmark. That's a good threshold. That's what I want to hit. At least that.
I mean,
in a console of that price.
Scuttlebutt for a few weeks around this thing has been that it's like same CPU speed and capabilities, same speed of SSD, just a smaller one. Like all the other stuff about that pertains to how games run is the same. It's just like, some scaled down, lower resolution, maybe
just targeted for a low resolution,
right, right. And maybe some scaled down graphical effects as well. But
and I think a lot of that speculation then comes alongside people saying like, hey, actually 4K adoption has not been amazing. So there are tons of people still out there with 1080p sets. And I started running through thinking about like the chain of devices that I am piping consoles through at this point of the home theater setup and the TV and all this other stuff that, that tops out at 4K 60, and it's going like, well, shit, like if I wanted to actually move to any kind of variable refresh rate or anything like that, like I have to go buy a whole new home theater setup and a new TV, and like so like I feel like in some level like even this stuff is out of date, and it was barely utilized by the like half step consoles, the Pro and the Xbox One X. Like it just none of that feels good.
Yeah.
Right. Especially coming off of stuff like Avengers and some of this other stuff, like more and more games that are using the like, hey, do you want high performance or resolution? By the way, they're both bad. Like it's been a bad feeling. Though this OLED TV does look super nice in specific settings. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a crazy price for a console that is going to play those games, and the storage stuff I think is where maybe it gets a little weird. But
they also they're confirming the pricing plan thing again, right? The $25 a month.
Did they confirm that? I know that was in the leak.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Windows Central says we can confirm via our sources that the entry-level Xbox Series S will cost $299 at retail with a $25 per month Xbox All Access financing plan, which also that gets you then
Game Pass Ultimate.
Yes, Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, so it sounds like Microsoft only confirmed the stuff specifically about the Series S, but yeah, Windows Central is saying $25 a month for the Series S, $35 a month for the Series X.
It's a pretty good. It's a pretty appealing.
$25 a month for this box and Game Pass Ultimate is like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's like what Game Pass Ultimate is what, $15 a month by itself?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And it's like a 0% APR thing, and you're not getting interest charged. It's just you pay per month, and then when you're done, you own the console.
Yeah, how long is the term of that? Like you have to. I mean, I know you have to maintain
24 months.
Game Pass. 24 months.
Yeah,
okay.
So you're on the hook for that whole contract to
you're on the hook long enough for them to announce another half-step console.
Yeah, basically.
Well, but then that's $10 a month. You're basically getting the console for $240 at that point if you're subtracting the Ultimate.
Yeah. Like if you're already gonna
right
be in on Game Pass, then that's a really good deal.
Yeah, I haven't done the math, but just as a slice of your monthly bills, like $25 a month is not, that's like what half of even a modest cell phone plan or something. Like
I
that.
was paying that much for fucking Minecraft Patreons a couple of months ago, which I still need to cancel. I think that's a pretty solid. That's a month. Yeah, that sounds all right. I don't know. That sounds all right.
Right up until you get to the part where there aren't really any games, but
yeah,
right. I mean, that was the thing about this leak is like on some level it was exciting enough to see the prices and date that I forgot for a moment the part where like, what are you gonna play on this stuff? I was like, I was looking at that stuff. And I was like, oh shit, $500. Like that's okay. That's not $600. That's cool. And $300 for this thing is the part I think that you guys look at and you're like, holy shit. Like that's we'll see what Sony ends up doing. Like I feel like the spot Sony ends up being in, if we assume that the entirety of the leak last night is true, which I mean Microsoft did come out and confirm some chunk of it. Yeah. So obviously their sources are pretty well placed. Then Sony comes in at what, $499 and $459 for Like the console and then the discless console is $50 cheaper.
That's the low. That's the low end of my guess on that stuff. I'm going to say 450, 500 at the low end, or 500, 550 at the high end.
Well, yeah. I mean, if Sony comes in high, I feel like if this leak ends up being true and then Sony comes out after that, well, two things. One, if Microsoft comes out and says, actually, that leak was wrong, it's $600, that's going to look fucking bad now. Like, that's this leak kind of puts them, if for whatever reason they weren't actually 100% locked in on price, which they probably are at this point, if for whatever reason they still felt like they had some wiggle room on that stuff, this kind of pins Microsoft down a little bit, because it would come across as very bad news now for them to come in and say, like, actually we're higher than that. And then I think that ends up being probably bad news for, like, it puts Sony in a spot, right, where Sony has to match that.
Yep.
I really feel like Sony has to match that, and I'm not positive that's where they wanted to end up price wise.
Yeah.
I would very much believe that they would have liked to have gone $599 with that thing if they could get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because like they stopped selling hardware at a loss, at the beginning of last generation or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they were, Sony corporate was just out there a couple weeks ago touting how the PlayStation division is the most profitable part of Sony now. They don't immediately want to just turn around and eat a giant loss on trying to move this hardware.
Exactly. So. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how all that goes. But I do think that, like, the leaked information ends up putting, like I said, I think it pins Microsoft down in a way that they probably didn't necessarily want to be pinned down just yet. Even if they were pretty sure this is where they were going to come in, and it's not good news for Sony. Unless
you believe the Michael Packers of the world who were saying that, like, there was no way that Microsoft is going to let Sony beat them on any price.
Right.
Like maybe they're just throwing caution to the wind and they're like, all right, this is it. This is our last chance. Like, we are just going to go for broke here. Like, we are going to undercut them no matter what. Like, no matter what it takes.
Totally. I believe it. I think that's, if you look at the Xbox One and what Microsoft went through in this last generation in terms of that stuff, like, those are the lessons they learned. It was the lessons that you thought they learned on the Xbox 360, but then magically forgot when they chased television.
The people running the show when the 360 came out didn't forget.
They
just weren't running the show anymore.
Yeah, they just weren't running the show anymore. You're right. But the corporate knowledge changed, I guess. But so I absolutely believe that they view those as, like, key things to success, is to ship first and at the bare minimum match price, but ideally come in under. And the Series S coming in at $299 gives them an under no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, there's no world in which a discless PS5 is $299.
No.
Right?
Or even probably not even $399.
Probably not even $399. Yeah, you're right. I just don't see that. So they kind of have a high and a low play here, which gives them a lot more wiggle room in terms of, like, if the Series X matches PS5 price, that's fine, because for people who are price conscious, they've got a console for you. It's called the fucking Series S. And if you're price conscious at launch, you probably you may not own a 4K TV yet to begin with, and all this other stuff, to where, like, that kind of synergizes in a way that works out in their favor. And then, at some point there will be games that'll work itself out someday. But until then, someday. It's exciting. It's like crazy. And I like the look of that thing. I like the big vent. I like the big old vent on the top or side or whatever. It's
kind of weird, but sure.
I want to use it as an intercom.
Totally.
My place.
But I also like it because it's like there's, like, a functionality to it that you look at both the X and the S and you just go, like, they're just not fucking around. They're like, yeah, we could have made a prettier, like, could we have had weird curvy curves and all, like,
fins
yeah. But fuck it, like,
it's just a box.
We just want the thing to not fucking overheat. Like, we don't want it to red ring. Like, this generations of learnings that we have fucking put into this thing of just make it work. And then sell it for cheap, and then launch it first.
That's all it takes.
That's it.
That's all.
That's all we got to do. We can hit 2 of those 3 things. We'll be in okay shape. But
figured that out 15 years
But then
ago.
the magical fourth thing was games, and that's the part that was like, evaporated.
Sure.
If they had hit all four of those things, it would be fucking unstoppable.
Sure.
But right now, it's still just like, we'll see. I don't know.
The monkey paw curled.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have gotten bug snacks.
Yeah,
if they had
shelled out
lockdown
for bug snacks, that's the game changer.
If they had locked down bug snacks, that would be the key fourth pillar. Anyway,
They saw the gunk and
that's right. They do have the gunk. That's
invested
right.
in that.
That's right.
You have the gunk.
I forgot
They
about
got that gunk.
They got the gunk.
They got the gunk.
Don't spill any of the gunk on the S though.
No, it's got that big hole in the top. You don't want to get any of the gunk in the box.
God, now I have to worry about spilling things on my console.
I think you already have to
gotta
worry
say,
about that.
worried about that.
Well, like when it's flat, like I could rest a water bottle on top, perhaps. But then now there's those holes on it. I like it though.
Yeah.
I want to use it as like a big walkie-talkie also.
I don't want to sneeze on it because that could go right in there.
Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know that I like either of these Xboxes, but I admire them, if that makes sense. Like, I admire the audacity. Like you said, it's just like, fuck it, here it is. It's just a giant rectangle.
Yeah. I think I like that it looks small. I like that it has a big functional like vent on it. That they're just like, we're taking the cooling seriously because we have to, because there's a power here.
Yeah.
I think that implied like there's still a power here such that it needs a vent. And then, I mean, the Series X just looks like a fucking big slab, like a big death box. It's just like, here's this
Onyx monolith.
Yeah, like that's what you want. Like I think that evokes power in a way that plays into their whole thing.
Sure.
But whatever. I think the PS5 looks nice too. I like their fucking crazy ass fins and all the other curvy nonsense. Like the big bulging drive. Like I think that thing looks cool in its own crazy way. So
I think my favorite is still the X. Just the audacity of the giant monolith.
Yeah.
I really like it. It screams like power to me.
yeah,
But now I want to see a vent on that also.
it's the top.
I want to see
the top.
four
Yeah,
vents.
the top on that is also
Okay.
yeah.
It's true.
Damn.
Should have like a
I
strobe
want
light and
more
a fog
vents
machine.
then, damn it.
So I guess that's it. That's all that's confirmed. Xbox Series S is the name. $299 is the price. They did not confirm the date, right? That's Windows
They did
Central
not.
as well.
Yeah.
They're saying November 10th, which is the Tuesday after the 6th that all those leaked controllers had stamped on them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of get accessories out like the end of the week before, and then I would have thought that consoles would launch on a Friday, but here we are.
You could do it whenever.
Tuesday news console day. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the tagline.
That really rolls off the tongue.
Yes, it does. I guess that's it about all this Xbox stuff for now. There's this idea going around that Sony's going to have an announcement tomorrow. I don't know if you guys saw one of the Twitter accounts for the retailer Game in the UK tweeted something about Sony having an announcement scheduled.
No.
And then quickly deleted it, which may very well be nonsense, but it's enough for a bunch of news sites to have picked that up. I don't personally think that's just going to happen out of nowhere, but who knows? Unless they're sweating this and they're like, oh my god, we got to do something to try to regain control of the message.
Well, if it's there, everyone's running out of time and all the. Yeah, who knows, man? Like this probably isn't the way Microsoft wanted this information to get out, but this doesn't seem to hurt them either.
Their social media accounts certainly memed it up pretty aggressively when this was leaking. Which take that as you will.
I think that's like the modern, the modern way to address a leak.
Yeah,
at this point is to just go like, all right, let's get our assets together and get it out in the morning, and just like, let's eat this one. Because think about it, like you wouldn't do this as a controlled leak because it's missing parts of the story. Like if you're Microsoft and you're trying to set the stage for what a Series S is, and you're not like us or the people in the chat or whatever that have been following this stuff closely, if that's a message you're trying to get out to a wider audience, because that's what the whole Series S is about, you need to tell the other part of the story more about the Series X. and how the two consoles relate to one another. And it's hard to, it's hard to announce one price without the other and all that other stuff, right?
It's true. At the same time, for people that don't pay a lot of attention to this stuff, when the only confirmed piece of information out there is $299, that sticks in the mind, like that.
Sure.
I have to a price that low, I have to imagine, makes an impression on people who just sort of see this stuff in passing and think back on it.
You're right. Yeah, but then you lead to like a weird situation where you get to the store and someone goes like, actually, it's $500 if you want the good one.
Right.
But maybe that's like, we're in an era where so many phones come in so many different sizes and storage sizes and all this other stuff. So like the multiple price points for the same basic device thing is probably more palatable to people than it was last time we did all this. So maybe that's just all fine too.
Sure. There is talk that Microsoft had or still has some kind of event or announcement scheduled for later this month. Who knows what they'll do with that now that this has happened. Maybe that's when they fill in the rest of the details about the X and so forth.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen. Stuff's getting weird, though, which is better than what we had, which was nothing.
Yeah,
right.
It's just nothing, and now it's everything.
Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, like, how else was this going to happen at some point, right? Like, they keep putting it off and playing chicken and staring each other down. At some point, something's going to give.
It gives everything more time to leak, especially as the plans do start to firm up and the assets start getting generated and all this other stuff. Yeah. So
people are tired of waiting. Or you could do like Nintendo and just never say anything ever, and then just drop a giant YouTube video randomly at like 6 a.m. and announce like 8 new products.
Sure. Yeah,
I like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, this was what was this, last Thursday morning? Nintendo, did they do this one live, or did this just go straight out to YouTube? I didn't see.
I believe it was straight out to YouTube.
This is they I think we talked about this just last week, didn't we? The Mario 35th anniversary stuff. It was rumored last week that stuff had gotten pushed back. Seems like some of that stuff was not delayed as much as the rumors said, but they dropped the 35th anniversary Super Mario Brothers Nintendo Direct Thursday morning. I've got all the announcements here in front of me. I'm just going to go through them in order. Starting with the most important one, they're bringing back the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch.
Woo! They're not, but that's never existed. Was there not even a Mario branded one? I know obviously this is not what it did back in the day. There were Mario games on Game & Watches, but yeah.
Not that played Super Mario.
Not that played Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, this one
ridiculous.
This one runs actual Super Mario Brothers in color.
Fucking nonsense. That thing's a piece of weird trash. Yes. Like what is that? What's a Game & Watch that has colors? Like what are we even doing?
It's the future.
Like nothing means anything
it's the future.
Anymore.
We can do whatever we want.
What's a Game & Watch?
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's a guy.
It's a game that's also a watch. It's right there in the name.
Wait, can I put this on my wrist?
I don't know how this was actually supposed to be used as a clock back in the day. Like, what was their idea?
It kept time, and when you open it up, it would have like an attract mode demo or whatever that would just show the time on the screen in the corner, and also you could set an alarm on it, so it would beep at you like a watch when the alarm went off.
Sure. This does have that original Game & Watch Mario catch a juggling ball thing on it, apparently.
So I don't even think that wasn't a Mario thing originally.
Was
that was
not?
just like a guy. Okay. That was just a Mr. Game & Watch looking dude.
Yeah.
That they I think have reskinned to make it look like.
Oh, the guy from Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Mario.
So technically, this is a Smash Brothers themed device, as it has Mario from Super Smash Brothers in it.
Right.
Yes. All right, whatever. Let's cut to the chase here. They announced Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is this long-rumored collection of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy.
The 3 best 3D Super Mario games.
Did you notice they ran like a montage, like here's the whole history of Super Mario Brothers. Afterwards, completely omitted Mario Galaxy 2 from that reel, just like totally pretended it didn't even exist.
It really worked out for them because no one said, "Hey, where's Super Mario Galaxy 2?" They really did a good job of
for sure.
Pulling that snow job on everybody.
This thing is weird, and it seems probably about as, would you agree, this is about as bare bones as they could possibly get away with?
Yeah, weird is not the word I would use.
Well, the release stuff, the stuff around we'll get to the stuff around the release timing and the release window.
Also bad.
That stuff is weird and bad. But from the looks of things, so I believe Super Mario Sunshine is getting stretched or getting like reframed to 16:9. Is that the case? but Super Mario 64 is not.
Super Mario 64 is not.
So yeah, like Mario 64, basically nothing is being done to it at all. Sunshine is going to be widescreen. Galaxy seems like it's unchanged, and also they did not remove the motion controls, so you have to take the Joy-Cons off and play it.
Oh, whoa.
Really not what I was hoping for.
I think it does have Pro Controller support.
Does it? Okay. Well, the Pro Controller has motion in it, so they may
So you might not have to. I mean, what I'm saying is you might not have to do this shit. You might be able to do this shit.
Yeah.
Right, but if you were playing handheld mode, which is how I play my Switch mostly, I'm gonna have to unhinge.
It's not.
I always play with those Ex Machina controllers, which don't have motion in them, I think. So I have to go get my Joy-Cons that have drift.
Yeah.
And Switch Lite users are just going to have to pick up Joy-Cons or like a Pro Controller.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Huh.
Yeah. Maybe there is a mode. I don't know. I guess nobody knows yet.
It uses touchscreen and handheld, is what folks in our chat are saying.
Huh.
Okay, yeah, because like the motion in that game is really just mostly you
just
waving the wand
Yeah.
around to pick up bits, right?
I can put my greasy fingers all over the screen now. Great.
Wait, wasn't
Thanks,
that just the second player that did the pickup bits with the wand thing?
That's what the second player could do, but you
I don't
also
remember.
You could also do it.
one.
You could also do it as player one.
backing them up.
Okay. So this thing is full price. I believe it's $60, right?
Yes.
$20 a game is not like
That's
out
not
of the
terrible.
question.
That's
until you break down that like, oh, they didn't do anything to Mario 64.
Right. Like, I mean, I would have. I would pay $60 for a like fully remade Mario 64. If they
There are fan projects out there. There are so many ways to play like an improved or like touched up Mario 64 at this point.
Yeah.
For them to do this, and who knows? Maybe they had grander plans for this that got derailed by COVID. The talk is that Nintendo has been hit really hard by the work from home stuff. And so maybe they had grander plans at some point, but like putting that aside, I think the idea that they're trying to put this pack out and just saying like, here's Mario 64 largely untouched, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know. Like it's
I feel like it doesn't. It doesn't even fit with the legacy of the All Stars branding because like. I remember when Super Mario All Stars came out for the SNES, I had fucking ran out and bought that thing on day one. Like I could not get my hands on that game fast enough. Even though like later they started giving it away, right? Like didn't it become the pack-in?
It was a pack-in. They did a pack-in version that also had Mario World on it,
right?
And which is like the craziest cartridge maybe ever made. But I like that when that came out. Like I was mostly excited to finally play the real Super Mario 2.
Sure. That was part of it for sure. It was like, oh my god, there's like this long lost Super Mario Brothers game that we've never seen before. But also, like they did all that work.
They did all that work.
I was just like,
so
this
cool.
fucking these are like some of the best games ever, and they look like Super Nintendo games now. Like, give me that shit.
Yeah, totally.
So like, I feel like this is just kind of a whiff or pretty underwhelming, even in terms of that legacy.
Yep.
To slap that name on here, but
it gets worse.
Yeah. So well, the upside is it's out soon. It's out on the 18th, which is contrary to those rumors last week that it was being pushed to like November, which what is that? That's end of next week. It's 10 days from now. So it'll be out soon, and then it's going away 6 months later. This will only be on sale until March 31st of 2021, and are we definitely 100% sure that is also relevant to the digital version?
They've said that the digital version is also...
Okay, because at first they kind of made it sound like it was just a limited physical run, and the physical copies would go away after that time, but yes, it sounds now like even the digital version...
I think it was like the first place that showed up was like their Japanese account, or their like Japanese Twitter account, or there was something out of Japan that said definitely like, digital version also going away.
Yeah, if you want to get this thing, buy it sooner than later.
And maybe they'll sell those games separately, individually after this, or or maybe they'll finally do the work to touch them up and sell those separately for a 40th anniversary.
Ooh. It just sucks because like
it just sucks.
It just sucks, and so many people are like struggling to pay rent and stuff right now. That this like false FOMO shit that they're doing, like if you have looked into the Disney Vault stuff at all, like I watched a video that was going around about. Like, how did the Disney Vault start, and why does that make them billions of dollars all the time?
I can't fucking find Aladdin.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because of their Disney's Vault stuff, which is exactly the same, though. Like, put out Cinderella on limited release of like, now it's 4K Ultra. It's the last time she's coming out of the vault.
I would have thought that Aladdin would be out there in the wake of that live action one. There's like,
oh no,
there's renewed interest in Aladdin. So like maybe get both. Maybe get the one you remember too. But yes, that practice is terrible. I don't know. Nintendo has always seemed like by far the most Disney-like of any game company out there. So kind of
it's
some
practice,
levels, not surprising.
The Disney Vault stuff, obviously it's a format that it lends itself better to this than Switch games do currently. But like, to me, the Disney Vault format just is an inspiration for piracy.
Sure.
That is just like, oh, well, I guess there's only one way you can get Aladdin now. And here it is.
Yeah.
Well, and eventually like Disney Plus will just have all that stuff, right? I mean, they're not going to do that. So I guess that's the other option.
It's a weird carryover from the old moratorium days, when the videos were just distributed on VHS tapes,
right,
or on DVD. There wasn't a digital option, but now that there is that digital option, so Disney is still adopting that kind of format. It's a shame. Yeah, it's a bummer not being able to have that stuff.
Yeah, and the Nintendo, having the stuff go away, like you wonder, like, are they trying to get all their money in this fiscal year for whatever reason, or something like that? Like, I don't even know. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
March 31st is the end of Q4.
Yeah, typically it's the end of a fiscal year or something like that. So maybe they're trying to just pile all the sales into that so that they can extract as much as possible or whatever the hell it is. But it's there's no reason. I mean, okay, like, hey, you don't want to have physical versions of the game out there forever because you don't want to do multiple runs of a game. And like, sure, okay, like physical games are meant to go out of print. But the idea that you won't be able to buy it digitally at that point either, it's just, you just look at it and go like, there's no good reason for this other than like they ran out of hard drive space on the eShop servers or something fucking insane like that.
Granted, it's Nintendo. That's not out of the question.
Yeah, totally. But like, then on top of that, this package sucks. Like it's a shitty package. Yeah. When you think about what they could be doing to those games, you think about like if an overhaul of what an overhaul of Mario 64 could look like. Totally. Like what you could do to make Sunshine like a modern and playable game that sucks less, in terms of just like better camera control or options to de-invert some of the right stick stuff in that game. And then Galaxy is modern enough that it maybe doesn't need quite as much work, but then it also shipped with all the motion stuff and all that like, oh, maybe it's time to remove that in a more meaningful way than they seem to have. We'll see when it comes out, like what it actually is. But like from what they've put out, and then they've put out stuff like, hey, here are the resolutions these games are going to run at, and that sort of stuff also, and that's not impressive either. You just look at it and go like, hey, if your goal here is to honor the 35th anniversary of Mario, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, or you're saying that you really don't give a shit about Mario. You're like, 35th anniversary, here we go. I mean, it's not 40, it's 35. Like, who celebrates that 35th anniversary of anything anyway? 25, you celebrate, and then it's just on the 10s until you get to 75. You're only, so 35 isn't even a real thing anyway that should be celebrated in this way anyway. So maybe that makes sense. There's like, we're gonna kind of fart this thing out and whatever. But it's
disappointing.
It's disappointing, totally.
Mario 64 is one of the most important games ever made. It deserves better than
it deserves better. And Galaxy's a great game too. And they should have just put Galaxy and Galaxy 2 on this thing and Mario 64 and been done with it. And just do their best to forget that Sunshine ever even happened.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least the good Mario All-Stars is out on the Nintendo Switch Online service now. So,
right.
At least you can
so even like honestly, like for as awesome as that was at the time, like that's not the way I would ever want to play Super Mario Brothers 1 or 2 nowadays.
Why? Because of the very minor gameplay differences.
Yeah, they don't feel right.
Yeah, they don't slightly.
They don't feel right. Yeah.
Well, whatever. All that is just a prelude to the actual weirdest, perhaps best announcement from this thing. Super Mario Brothers 35, which is a multiplayer version of Super Mario Brothers in the style of Tetris 99. Right down to the little 4-way analog stick selector at the top to target different players to send junk to their screens. Which
that's kind of ridiculous.
It's kind of cool.
It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm
The idea of like Super Mario Brothers, the first one, especially as someone who's trying to play through that fucking hateful second game right now, like it's a very demanding game. The idea of having to play that not only very accurately but also as fast as humanly possible against other people in a race sounds like an absolute nightmare. But maybe that's part of the appeal. I don't know. It looks like the idea is basically it's like a timed race, right? Like I think ultimately you're just trying to get through the level faster than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the main idea. Yeah.
But you're essentially spawning more enemies in other people's levels by doing stuff in your level, but they're obviously doing the same thing to you, and like it looks like there are ways for you to add more seconds onto your clock and stuff like that. Like it seems like a pretty awesome idea.
and then it's also going away on March 31st.
Also, yes, also limited time, which is kind of like, come on, man. Like
Yeah.
they've done such a good job of supporting Tetris 99 for all this time since it came out. Like they're still supporting that game. Like why would you? Why? I don't know, man.
And also, remember that browser game that had Mario assets in it that eventually got switched out with non-Mario assets after the cease and desist game that was basically this?
Yes.
It was very similar to this idea in terms of it being a multiplayer take on Mario 1.
Sure.
But that was more a case like if you picked up a star and touched other players, you would kill them. You know, there was like more direct stuff like that I'm not sure that they're doing here. But seems kind of weird that on top of all that, they're like, we're going to shut down this fan project and then kind of make that fan project and then layer some Tetris 99 stuff into it. Like, all right. And it's going to go away in more. Yeah. That's maybe like one too many things on the pile for me to feel good about it, but it looks cool.
Yeah. And I believe that one, like Tetris 99, is a kind of free value add for the online service, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I think
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about price.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything.
They fucking better not take away Tetris 99 at any point, or I'm going to break my Switch over my knee and throw it in the trash.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Just get into Tetranet, baby.
Yeah, okay,
6
sure.
players are all you need.
You know, could also be down with that. What else we got here? Mario Kart Circuit. I'm sorry, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. I misread that.
Yeah.
Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which, like, was this the first time anybody ever even heard of this thing?
I thought that this had been teased or something. I don't know. I don't actually know.
It's kind of wild. It is a combination kind of RC car and, like, AR, like, augmented reality racing game, Mario Kart experience.
I was just thinking about getting into RC cars too.
It's basically an RC car Mario Kart character. I think that looks like they're only launching Mario and Luigi to start. Is that right?
Oh, really? Okay.
Dang it.
When you go to the website.
I would assume they would do 4 cars at launch, but I don't.
Yeah, I thought you could have like up to 4 players.
I just went to the website and it's got a choose your driver and hit the track, and it's got a little selector that just has Mario and Luigi. So,
okay.
If there are more characters,
you can play 4 players.
Yeah, if they're they might look different in the game than they do on the car.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a little RC car with a camera mounted on the top, which beams the video to your Switch and then does a bunch of AR stuff on top of that to,
So you can kind of build your own track, put down these checkpoints around a room, and then drive it once to lock in kind of what the track looks like, and it'll then AR the rest in for you.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah, it's $100 a car
for a car.
It is not cheap to get in,
and everyone needs to bring their own Switch from the sounds of things.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
that gets expensive fast.
Yeah, and watching the trailer, it looks like it simulates all the Mario Kart stuff of like, you get hit with a shell and the car stops in real life for a few seconds and stuff like that. Like it's a cool idea.
It is cool.
The big thing I want to see is how fast those cars go. I wish that there was like a better shot in their demo of just like a pulled out shot showing like how fast are these things getting around. Because I feel like who's going to have a big enough space, and people have carpet on top of that, so they may not have any suitable space at all. And so in a tighter space, a slower car makes more sense, right? So it's
true. But I would be building this stuff outside for sure.
Those cars, well, yeah, I don't know. Well, let's take a closer look at the cars when that thing comes out. But like, also the car doesn't look like it's built for outdoor like asphalt use. Certainly, like paved streets. I don't know about y'all, but like the paved street out here, I would not put solid tire RC cars on at all because it would just flip over because everything is so rough out there. Like if you had, solid, some good rubber tires, maybe a little air in them even. That's a different story, but those cars look a little too toy-like and a little less RC car-like in a way that they will. Speaking as someone who has broken RC cars just jumping them off the curb, and those had like shocks and rubber tires and all the other stuff, like these things don't look like they're built for that.
You're not gonna trust a flimsy $100 toy on some Petaluma asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just planning on having drag races in my bathtub.
There you
That'd
go.
be pretty good.
Yeah.
That is coming out, I believe, November. Is the date?
October 16th.
Oh, is it?
I just saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's soonish.
Yeah.
Only other big announcement out of this Mario thing is that they are indeed porting Super Mario 3D World from the Wii U, as has been rumored, and that's awesome because that game rules, and I don't think enough people played it because who played their Wii U?
I did not play this game. I'm under the impression this is the best Mario game that I have never played.
It's fantastic. I didn't finish it. I played about half of it. It's fucking real good. And they're adding a bunch of content to it. They're adding like kind of an add-on called Bowser's Fury, which looks pretty good. Yeah, more people should play that game. It's very good. Music is very good.
Fine, it will.
Everything about it is very good.
Go out and get that Wii U version before they remove it.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good if they just erase the Wii U from history.
All right.
Man, still got my Wii U hooked up.
Why?
Because it's got Super Mario 3D World on it, actually. The last thing I played on it.
Well, Brad, I have good news for you.
Oh! After all these years, I can start over in that game. And it looks like scalpers are already selling pre-orders for 3D All-Stars out there. This is a limited edition thing.
Fantastic.
It's a great
It's not
time.
that limited. I don't know. They didn't give the impression that it was going to be that limited. So I wonder if this is just people trying to scam.
Yes, it's just panic pre-ordering, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's not like sneakers. You'll get your copy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
I think, I don't know about you guys. I came out of this Mario thing last week going like, all right, is that it for Nintendo? Is that their rest of 2020 lineup? And kind of assumed,
Figured it would be.
Kind of assumed it might be. But then they went and announced a new Hyrule Warriors this morning.
So Mario was the only stuff that mattered, I guess.
Pause for applause. Everybody loves Hyrule Warriors, right?
Hyrule Warriors was good.
Was it?
Yeah. The modern like the
Musu game? Yeah, like
Musu games.
Muso.
Like that. The Fire Emblem one was pretty good. Like they've gotten.
they're fine.
it's still those games.
Oh,
You're
that's
still
right.
gonna be mashing the
There's still
button.
those games.
I think I sat in on the quick look for Hyrule Warriors and the Fire Emblem one, and it was like kind of more than I expected. Like there was more there. There was more there than just hitting 100 dudes at a time with a giant sword. To be fair,
But also, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
yes,
That's still a lot.
it's still kind of that though.
Yeah.
The full title is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. Honestly, the big thing here is it's set in the kind of Breath of the Wild continuity. It says this is set 100 years before Breath of the Wild, and it sure has that look to it, which is
Are there going to be weapon durability?
That was my big question.
it's probably possible.
If they want to make it worse, they should go ahead and do that.
Yeah. It sounds like they're going to reveal more about this game on August 26th. I don't know if that's a separate direct or what. Probably.
August 26th.
Yes. For some kind of extra, another trailer or video or something. November 20th is the release date. So. Wait, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it says August 26th.
You're
in
right. I totally
that article,
it
but
totally
it's
is September, isn't it? I don't know why this article says August 26th. Maybe they mean September 26th. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. This video they put out about it has a lot of footage from actual Breath of the Wild in it. So, but there are some shots of Link running around in a cloud of 100 chickens. So,
Fantastic.
I guess they know what they're doing with this thing. But yeah, that just kind of came out of nowhere this morning, which sort of somewhat got buried in the Xbox leaks. But there it is.
Alex, all right.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and wrap up the rest of the news here. There's not much else before we go to break. Spelunky 2 has gotten dated for the PC, which is the 29th of September, which is only a couple weeks after the PS4 release, which, is next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spelunky 2 is out next week.
That's soon.
PlayStation 4 version of Spelunky 2 is out in a week.
Oh my goodness.
But I think...
Are you excited?
I want to play Spelunky 2. I think Derek Hugh had been out there at least implying that the PC version would not be that much further off.
It was mostly just had to finish up some multiplayer stuff or something, right?
Yeah. But luckily it's just a couple weeks after PS4 rather than a period of months or something like that. So
yeah,
not a huge deal there. I want to play Spelunky 2. We should check out Spelunky 2.
I also want to play Spelunky 2.
It's got fluid dynamics.
Ooh.
Got a clone gun.
And you can clone the dog.
Oh shit.
Hell yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Last little story, which is kind of a non-story, but CD Projekt has basically come out and confirmed that they do not intend to delay Cyberpunk 2077 again. Mm-hmm. Which I guess they probably...
They do not intend to.
Right.
Yes. Which I feel like kind of became necessary because a whole bunch of people were starting to just assume it was going to get delayed again, because why wouldn't it? Because what else is there to not go wrong this year?
Coming out and saying that they are... Well, I guess it wasn't necessarily them coming out and saying, "Hey, we're not delaying it anymore." It was part of a recap or something that they said "Oh yeah, we're still on track to ship."
Yes, yeah, that's what I mean.
It wasn't like them coming out there and saying "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," which would sound way worse in terms of just are you sure? Because why would you come out and do this if not for that?
Right.
But, yeah.
But I have been seeing more and more people lately just taking it as a given that the thing was going to get pushed to next year.
That's hey, if you look at the year we've had across the board, it would make sense for that game to also get pushed on top of everything else. But when is that at? What's the date for that? That's what's that? That's
November, I want to
late 2021, right? Is that?
I want to say November 17th. Let me triple check. 19th, November 19th, which right around the launch of the PS5, based on all the rumors.
Okay.
A week after the Series X is supposed to be out, so. A lot of action in November, it seems.
Yeah. Action.
Yes. And that's it. That's all that I've got for news.
Not bad.
Who's excited about video games? They're back.
Yeah. I'm glad that there are video games.
Yeah.
Even if some of them are not great, at least that's exciting that there's something happening.
You say bad video games are better than no video games?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Madden has spoken. The games are back, and all is right with the world. Nature is healing.
That's right. So Colin Kaepernick is finally back.
Wait, what?
Yes, he's back in the game.
Oh shit,
motherfuckers!
For who?
For Madden.
Is he playing football again?
He's still a free agent.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant. I thought you meant he got signed to a team.
Oh no, now he's back in the actual video game.
I see.
Okay. So you could put him on whatever team you want, like a free agent type thing. Is that how that works? I don't understand the Madden.
That makes sense.
I barely do.
John Madden emerged from his hole in the ground and did not see his shadow, and so we will have
crawled out of a gigantic turducken.
That's right.
Hidden on the Madden cruiser.
Yes, he came out from under the bus.
Yeah.
And so we shall have 6 weeks of video games.
And then he said, "Take those in-game ads out of UFC, you fucking monsters." Did you see that? That's maybe not a news story, but did you see that they added and then very quickly removed fucking in-game ads for Amazon shows from UFC?
Yeah.
It was like they were showing up between rounds and shit. These big full screen boom ad, and then people were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Also, this game is bad. And then on top of that, you're doing this. What the fuck is wrong with you? And then EA had to come out and was like, yeah, we tried it before. I guess fans did not like this particular integration, and we're gonna take them out of the game.
EA's long history of innovating with live dynamic ads.
Yeah.
For quite some
in an
time.
election year, so maybe they can bring back the billboards and burn out Paradise while they're at it too.
That's right. All right, that's all the late breaking news. A whole bunch of stuff popped off in the last few hours that we had to get through. Now we've done so, and now we're going to take a break and then come back and talk about the games we've been playing. So stick around. We will see you in a minute. There sure are
A lot of games.
We're back, and so are Marvel's Avengers, apparently. That game came out on Friday, and I'm just going to say off the top that most of you have played a lot more of it than I expected from the sound of things.
More than I expected, yeah.
I think
Jason beat it.
Jason finished it. I think Jeff also finished it.
I also did, yes.
Sounds like I'm like halfway through the story-ish.
Okay.
It's shorter
Yeah,
than I
maybe.
thought it would be.
Huh.
And I appreciate that, actually. Because it at no point did it like overstay its welcome. You know, like there was good pacing, I thought. And there was a couple missions where, you know, it just seemed kind of mundane or whatever. But then it was sandwiched by another story beat or another big story moment or whatever. I was rather pleased with the pacing. It's
Definitely getting the vibe that people took to the full game a lot more so than the beta.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's because of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I think the story actually, for the most part, is like really well done. It's like a lot of good, like humanizing moments of the Avengers, you know, not being on the same page, then being on the same page, then not being, you know, like that back and forth kind of told through the eyes of Kamala Khan, I think actually is super effective. Yeah. But then I think like the back third or so, they bring it together at the end, but I think like the back third of that game loses a lot of that focus. And it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like they kind of they lose it a little bit and then get it back. But I also think for me, like the problem is that I think the gameplay is so repetitive. Like you've seen basically all of the enemies with, you know, some slight variants and stuff like that by the time you've played like 2 missions in that game. It's just robots, and then you're done. Yep. And then it's like, hey, now it's a live game. Go maybe punch some more robots. And it's like, this sucks. It's not engaging. And
yeah, that's also my biggest problem with it. I think that there is a not only a lack in enemy variety, but all the enemies kind of are just, they're like robots, and they're like different, like they've got, this one's got a different laser than the other ones.
There are
some dudes. There are some, you know, the bosses are unique, of course, but like
you're fighting dudes in the tutorial. Those aren't robots.
But also like 2 of the bosses are also just bigger robots, and or 3 of the even. It's like for a property, you know, not you know, just the Avengers, even much less like the Marvel universe or something. It feels like they really skimped on involving meaningful characters in that storyline along the way.
Do you think do you think that has anything to do with their post-release content rollout schedule?
Like
they didn't
probably.
Like they didn't want to get characters in there too much now that they want to hold back for like big reveals later.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would hope so.
Like I would have preferred these up front. I don't want to fight MODOK. The guy's dumb. Taskmaster.
It's not a good fight. Like the MODOK fight is not good. Abomination, like that's like that's practically a tutorial fight. Taskmaster literally is a tutorial fight. So like all of the like big named character fights are like supremely disappointing. And then like one of the first things I did, so that mission, like, you know, then I had to go fight Taskmaster again in doing the mission that we played when we were doing multiplayer on Friday, the one we quit out from. Yeah, like
is it a different fight?
Yeah. It's not a tutorialized like here's how to do this. It's more of here's how to dodge. Actually, yes. It is a more fully fledged fight, which just means you get up close on them and wail on the buttons.
I have to say, I came around on the combat quite a bit. I initially was a little down on it, And I still don't think it's like incredible, but I think as you start leveling up those characters and getting those skills and seeing the different variants you can play, like I was really cold on Iron Man when I was like playing him in the beta. He was the first one I wanted to play because he's my favorite like Avenger. And I'm like, it's just he's got like this flight stuff which doesn't feel great. I don't really understand like his purpose, but then you start unlocking his other abilities, like the beam you can hold on a guy for increased damage, and he does the laser dancing shit, which is pretty cool. Like as you start unlocking that and rolling that in, it starts to feel a lot better.
He's got
and the
different
characters start to feel a lot more unique from each other.
Yeah, even though they're all just mashing, the light and then into heavy or whatever, they have different properties on all of those. And some have different juggle properties. They will launch enemies into the air and follow them up. So I found myself doing different loops with different characters. And it changed it up just enough to keep it a little more interesting.
Totally. I think that ends up being like something that works against part of the campaign. Like I think it helps actually, because you're never like struggling to go, oh, what are the controls again? Yes, but also I think like you get to a point where like, so we played that multiplayer session. I played as Iron Man that entire time and leveled up that Iron Man quite a bit, and so I started using Iron Man as my default.
What level is your Iron Man?
So what, like 22 or something. So you get to a point where you've gotten used to having a full skill tree at your disposal, because filling out that skill tree doesn't take much time. Like that skill tree is not like by the end of that game, I think you'll have everything. It's not like, oh, I got to respec it. It's not that kind of game. But then the story gets to a point where it's like, oh, by the way, here's Black Widow. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to play as Black Widow again. I haven't played as her since the tutorial. And it's like, oh, she has like way fewer options because her skill tree has not been upgraded, and so it's like, oh, now I don't have like a solid like way to deal with this or this. And I ended up experiencing that again when Thor is introduced into the story also, of just like, man, I just feel like I don't have like the stuff that now feels like the basic stuff you need for this to be like an engaging beat 'em up. And so I ended up actually like dying quite a bit at the first like Black Widow encounter, which is dumb because it's just like a basic robot or whatever. But like I had gotten so used to having a lot more options at my disposal that when they locked that back down again, it was like, oh, this actually is like even fucking less engaging. But yeah, I don't know. It's the combat is better once you level up the characters for sure. But also I still think it's like pretty monotonous. Like having those other two trees basically like mostly be specializations that don't.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of like passive skills in there.
Yeah. It's it's stuff like, oh, you can use the Hulkbuster armor for 5 more seconds, or it's basically like a lot of options that when you unlock it with one skill point, you can toggle between 3 different options at any time. And that'll be like, for Iron Man that has like 3 weapons, it'll be like, oh, do I want to have like a rocket specialization, a laser specialization, or a repulsor specialization? But like Jason said, like they're all just these like lightly passive upgrades that kind of don't matter. So like
it's not
it feels
that
like
end game power boost that you want from a game like this. You want to feel like once you hit the end game, you want to start unlocking wild shit that makes every enemy feel like weak. You want
but instead the skill tree feels like, okay, we're gonna give you your bread and butter, and then that's it. Like that's and you that's the bare minimum you need to feel like the game is engaging.
Have they said if they're going to expand on the existing characters post-release, or are they just going to be adding new ones? Like, I wonder if your Captain Americas and Iron Mans are going to get more powers and stuff to do at some point?
I assume that they will just add new characters, and any expansion will be like, hey, here's some new suits you can buy.
Some weird stuff in that shop. You seen that the Cabana Incredible Hulk in there? Just like an open Hawaiian shirt and like hat. Kind of
a lot of those are going to be like famous looks from the comics, right? Like, remember that time Hulk looked like this? Whoa, that was wild, right? Now you can be hidden.
But like I think Ben, you're right. Like, why you get to what feels like you get past the campaign, so maybe it's not quite end game, but you're like through the campaign and you're like, okay, now let's do all the hyper repetitive stuff, and you fill out that skill tree and you don't feel super powerful. Like the numbers go up. Hey, you're doing more damage. You have equipped more things that give you more passive abilities, or you've gotten the major artifact upgraded to a point where you can click in both sticks to do something. I think mine is like the one I have equipped now is like if any enemy is affected by any status effect, when I click in those sticks, they all blow up and do they take a bunch of damage or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just the action is so monotonous, and like so the thing that driving it is the story. But then you get out of the story and into like the Avengers initiative, which is like where they're like, hey, here's more of the live gamey kind of stuff. And it's like the same environments. Like I had 2 missions that were in that like there's like a Pacific Northwest environment that is on fire. And in one mission, it was like, careful, there's wildfires in the area. And then the next one, the mission briefing said, yeah, I know, right? The mission briefing said, we've carpet bombed the area to give you some cover. But it's like the same exact fucking map. Like you're going to slightly different versions of it, which is, they're reusing their areas, but like they just don't really take advantage of their areas as well as like Destiny has like areas that you go back to over and over and over again. But I think they do a better job of making those areas feel a little bit more fresh. Whereas this feels like there were cases where it felt like I did the same mission 3 times in a row, but they were all different, and all the story stuff is relegated to like, so we did that mission on Friday where it ended in that Taskmaster boss fight, but because they don't know which characters you're playing as, because it's just the live game portion that's totally removed from story. Like in any mission intro, they'll just have whoever talk. Like if you're not playing as Thor, but they have a line for Thor, they'll have Thor talk, which is fine. But like you beat that boss fight, and then like Maria Hill shows up with a rocket launcher and is like, cuff him. And it's just like all these shield people just show up, and like the cutscene is not any of your characters or anything that you did. And it just feels like they made the most generic out possible for that stuff. And it really takes you out of the driver's seat when you come still just like, I just did that thing. Like all those missions just feel like I just fucking mashed the buttons some more and these dudes died, or even worse, like I stood on these control points and took it over. Like those missions are abysmal.
All of the Avengers initiative stuff just feels really tacked on. Like honestly, it feels like a competent, maybe solid, like 8 out of 10 single player experience with this like 5 out of 10 multiplayer that's sometimes buggy. I mean, we played on Friday.
Sometimes buggy.
Sometimes very often buggy. We played that stream on Friday where at the end of like a 40-minute mission, I died during the cutscene that was like, you beat the level, and I didn't get any loot because I was dead.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of UI stuff getting stuck on screen. I had cases where like like Iron Man's thing is he calls down the Hulkbuster armor. That's like his like ultimate ability or whatever. I had cases where I would do it, he would start to go into the animation and then just stand up. And the armor never came, and it burned the use of the item. Like it was on cooldown after that.
Have you seen the videos of Cap's face? Like there's one skin where he just like as he talks, he just kind of does.
That sounds great.
A melted candle.
It was great. Yeah, that actually, I was able to repeat that. I think it's because of a certain costume that he wears. Yeah. But yeah, we were dying while we were playing that. I took some clips as well. There's
other stuff that's just like rookie mistake live game stuff that like other games made these mistakes 6 years ago. Like the idea that you have two there are two factions, each with its own social space. You have to go to each social space to pick up the bounties, and the load times are fucking atrocious.
The load times are really bad.
So it becomes this case of like you can hold all the bounties, no problem, but you have to go to the helicarrier to pick up the 8 shield bounties, and then go to the anthill to pick up the 8 Hank Pym fucking bounties. And you have to go back there. Like the faction vendors are also specific to each location. Stuff that you just go like, man, other games figured this shit out, and realize like you have to make this stuff convenient for players. Like they have made all those same mistakes from years ago.
Everybody has to go through it. Like Diablo 3 had to go through it, and then Destiny went through it, and so like Bungie will be visiting Crystal Dynamics in a year or two and saying, here are the lessons we learned.
Right.
Just like the Diablo people went up to Bungie. You know what I mean? Like it seems like
totally.
It seems like nobody, like I don't remember what Warframe looked like at launch, but it just seems like I guess I feel for the developers tasked with putting something this crazy and like multifaceted together, right, with all these moving parts. But it just seems like nobody can launch a loot-driven service game cleanly with everything there.
Yeah, I guess this seems messier than most, and then on top of that, like it feels Like there are lessons that the genre has learned that they have deliberately ignored here for whatever reason. And I even tried it on PC and just had the game crash a bunch because I was just curious if the load times were better, but like the PC version just kept hard crashing for me after missions and stuff like that.
I wanted to ask because like you guys keep talking about the Avengers Initiative stuff as almost sounding like a discrete thing, a different mode from the story.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's just an Avengers fan and they just want to play through like a fun Avengers single player story driven game and be done with it, like does this fill that role?
Wait for
well
a
enough?
sale. Wait for a sale because $60 for a game of that length that is so repetitive on the gameplay side, I think is a tough sell. I think some people will definitely get their money's worth out of it and feel okay about it because I think the story is strong. But I think with where the gameplay is at, the idea of paying $60 for that like 10-ish hour story, no, I couldn't recommend it right now.
And don't forget that it's a technical mess as well. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Wait for a sale, wait for some patches.
I think as far as
I think that story is completely serviceable, and I think it's a good one.
It sounds like that is
good.
that seems like the thing everybody is coming out of this saying like, oh, that story is better than anybody expected.
I wouldn't like, as somebody who enjoys most of the Marvel movies on a very like base popcorn movie level, I think this doesn't quite hit the highs you get from one of those. But as far as like video game stories go, it's compelling. I think there's good humor. Like, you know, those movies, for better or worse, are full of like a lot of quippy, like Joss Whedon kind of like, you know, snappy dialogue, which this game recreates to mixed success. Like, you know, Tony Stark has a lot of one-liners but like it does a really good job with what Jeff was saying, like making Kamala the focus of the game, kind of introducing this new character who knows so much about the Avengers, cares about the Avengers, lets them have an excuse to have the characters play with each other in a way that you probably wouldn't get from just a straight up like, it's the Avengers and they're on an avenging mission sort of.
I even having only played through the first part of the story, like all the stuff around her feels very like earnest and sincere. And cute.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. Weird.
And she remains that strong throughout the game.
It's just
she's definitely the heart of that team.
That stuff. It even ends strong. Like I think that's it's a good solid story. Yeah, I think Ben's right. Like it's maybe not, you know, going to reach the same height as like a Marvel movie does if you're into those, but it approximates enough of that stuff and has like good moments with even the Avengers. It's not just all Kamala. Like there are good moments with the Avengers interacting with each other that I think are like a decent reward for kind of suffering through the part where you play it.
Okay.
Like, but that's the part where it's like it's so repetitive, man. Like there are not enough boss fights. There's not enough enemy variety. Even if you just remove the part where they're all robots, it's just like it's stock types of enemies that get thrown at you over and over again, and it just doesn't change up enough. And then that permeates the kind of post-game multiplayer content. Also, like, you know, maybe it's partially because the game just came out and people are still working their way through the story. Like I'm checking like trophy completion and going like, oh, like 20% of players actually finished the campaign. But like matchmaking is abysmal. Like I never find anyone. You can quick match into anything. It also does the fucking thing, man. Another thing that they maybe I don't know what the actual answer is, but so players join a lobby and then the timer doesn't start until any player clicks the start mission. And so if you're sitting there going like, I want a full game of 4 players, I want to see what this looks like with 4 human players in it, but then one other person match makes in, the first thing they do is they hit launch mission. And then it's never going to fill those other 2 slots. They get filled with AI. And it's just like so fucking frustrating to have someone you're match made with kind of force you into a 2-player game instead of a 4. But I don't actually know what the answer to that is, but other than only let the host launch or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you're joining into a game and the host never launches because those slots are never gonna fill up anyway right now. But someday they will, I guess. But yeah, that was another frustrating one yesterday when I was like, before we do the podcast, like I want to see what this looks like with a full team of strangers. Because even with one other stranger, it was like chaos. You know, we were playing, talking to each other, and it was still like everyone just scattering out, going for different chests and different stuff. But like in that case, you've got like, oh, is he is he running over to where that chest is, or does he think he know how to get this door open, or should I? Oh, I'm just gonna spawn in the next area because I'm tired of watching this guy fumble around and not figure it out. So
the other
needs to stand. And
the other part of that multiplayer, just not being able to tell who's who, was a big pain.
Yeah.
Because there were multiple parts during that stream last Friday where I would be punching someone that I thought was an enemy, but it just turned out to be Jeff because I just couldn't tell.
Yeah, because I mean, he was playing Iron Man and he looked like all the goddamn robots.
Might as well be a robot. Wait, does that mean there's friendly fire? Can you
no
damage other people?
No, so you're just like whiffing on a human.
I mean, that's one of my big problems with the game is like, I think since it's a team game and, you know, there are characters like Kamala who have a healing AoE stuff, you should be able to clearly have a feel on where everyone is, but you have to hit up. And then even when you hit up, it doesn't really show you. It'll show you those kind of circles and you have to kind of look around. And I swear to God, when we were playing on Friday, the up just was not working for me. I just could not find any of my allies.
I think it's got two tiers. It has like 2 tiers of up. There's one that shows allies, and then you hit it again to toggle it to like
show a path to the objective.
Show a path to the objective. But yes, also sometimes it breaks on top of that. So it's like, do not buy this game right now. Wait for patches. Even if you're like, hey, I'm down with it. Even in light of these caveats, like I still cannot recommend with how buggy it is. But then on top of that, like it just needs more content. It needs more variety. It needs better storytelling in the live game portion of it. Like it's missing just a lot of stuff.
The live game portion is just unappealing to me. As much as I like it.
Yeah, it almost shouldn't be there. But then
it feels like
tacked on and it feels half baked.
It just doesn't feel like a setting that lends itself to being a live game to begin with, right? You know, like any other game like this, pretty much you are playing a faceless character that you create that has no identity of their own, allowing you to map your own identity onto them, right? And then you can get costumes that look like whatever you want, and like you know what I mean. Like you're playing like well-defined roles here that are like you can't necessarily like build a character of your own on top of Captain America, who is.
And if you only leveled up one character and someone else is playing as that character, you can't use them. So but which they kind of get around in the I mean, presumably you work that out if you're playing with friends, but in matchmaking they have options for matchmake as my hero or matchmake as any hero. So if you deliberately are like, no, I'm Iron Man, I need to be Iron Man, it will filter matchmaking appropriately in theory. I mean, you know, I never matchmade into much at all. And when I opened a lobby, no one ever joined it. So, or one person eventually joined it, but they at least acknowledge that like, oh, you kind of need to be able to force your hero one way or the other.
You know, it's the typical loot game trajectory, though, right? Of like, none of them are like done when they come out. You know,
yeah, this one just feels like especially undone, I guess.
But just you know, like a year from now, we might be telling a very different story about this game. Who knows? No,
I'm actually curious.
Like, I don't because the story will still be good, but unless their add-ons include another whole story that is written with this level of care and all that other stuff, like no, because even if you polished up the bugs, that action is still that action.
Yeah.
And that's just not engaging.
I'm okay with the action. I am fine with that, but you know, as Jeff mentioned, you know, the repetition of enemies is abysmal. We're seeing everybody like in the first couple of missions. There's very little story content, you know, and what little story content there is in the live mission stuff is not great.
I think they've
said
they're going to add more.
I don't know how you fix it.
Right? I think they said they're adding more mission story stuff after launch. I believe I read that.
I would assume so. Like at some point, they have to be like,
they've got to add.
Oh, Hydra showed up. There's got to be like, hey, another faction showed up, or there's got to be something.
Do they do the Anthem thing of like the ending of the story? It's like here's the next faction you will be fighting in the post-release content.
No, like that's the thing is like the actual like end game like justification setup is just like, well, it's still fucked up.
There's someone else, I guess,
guys, but it's still the same guys. But now someone else is in charge. We got to figure out what's going on out here. Everything that you were fighting against is still a problem. Now go fight more robots, but with less story.
Sucks because it takes the oomph out of the ending of the story, which is the best part of the game.
Yeah.
All right. Marvel's Avengers in stores now. that Tony Hawk came out.
Yeah.
Fuck yes, it did.
How are we pronouncing that? Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Tony Hawk
1
Tony
plus
Hawk's
2.
Pro Skater 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 plus 2.
They style
Tony Hawk's
it-
Pro Skater 3.
They style. That's right. They style it with a plus, but I'm going to say and.
Yeah.
Seems like that
Give it the
thing's-
same respect you would a Kingdom Hearts title.
Okay. All right. So let's move on then. Seems like that thing hit pretty well.
It's great.
It's so good.
It's great. It is great. It is a fantastic remake of the levels from those two games. It brings in all the moves from like much later games in the franchise to give you a lot of combo options, almost too many. Like some of the goals in some of the Tony Hawk 2 levels that you had to solve kind of a certain way, like with the enhanced tool set of like Thug or Thug 2. It's fucking trivial because you're just like, oh, pop, 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 pop. Okay, we're there.
Jeff, that's very easy for you to say.
Yeah,
You have
okay.
been keeping up with Tony Hawk. As somebody who's watched a lot of Tony Hawk and remember, I was like, yeah, I was good at Tony Hawk back in the day. I was pretty good. I picked it up and I'm having trouble getting to like 60K and stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool though. I'm having fun with it. Like,
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing is like these levels are these levels, and they added goals to the Tony Hawk 1 levels to give every level in the game 10 goals total. Originally, those levels only had 5, but in Tony Hawk 2, all the levels already had 10 goals, so those are just the same goals that were in original Tony Hawk 2. I finished both those games. I finished that all the way, basically.
I saw you say that, and I was like, I got like 6 goals. Oh, and Jeff has everything. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, that maybe took me 3.5 or 4 hours or something like that to just finish all the goals and basically like, get all the stat points and goals. So that's full stats with one skater and complete all the goals on the levels. And like miraculously, they actually added like the whole level system they added to it. Like you're leveling up a profile that governs unlocks and stuff like that. They have added a lot of additional challenges and things to do in that game that are fucking hard. And I wish that they did a better job of surfacing that stuff. So that if you were trying to do a specific thing, you could just kind of like leave it on screen and go like, okay, I need to do, because it's stuff like, you need to do one combo that incorporates these 4 gaps. And some of those gaps will be pretty far apart. And so like, okay, the idea of doing one combo that traverses this entire like line is pretty hard. And also you have to remember that. And sometimes that can be tricky as well, because the gaps aren't labeled in world per se. You have to then figure out, okay, if I jump from this rooftop to this rooftop, that's that gap. Then where's the rest? And figure out that sort of thing. But it's cool that they have all that stuff in there for people that want more. I think the questionable thing they did here is it used to be, and I go back and forth on it. I've seen people complain about it, but like, So it used to be that you could complete the career with every single skater in the game, and every career progression was kept separately per skater. So if you completed all the goals with, say, Bob Burnquist, you would then switch to Tony Hawk and be able to play the entire game again. And they would govern unlocks around stuff like that. Like if you 100% of the game with every skater, they would give you something or whatever. Instead, what they've done is they've made it so the goals only get completed once, but the stat points need to be collected with every skater. So I 100% of the game with Bob Burnquist. But when I switch to Tony Hawk and jump into those levels, all those goals are completed already. All I do is go and collect the 2 stat points in the level and then quit out and go to the next level and collect the 4 stat points there and then quit out. And it's kind of a weird, it's a little soulless at that point. If you're like, well, I want to level up this skater and do the and get all the stats for this skater so I can use this skater to do other stuff with or whatever. It kind of makes that process a little soulless, I guess, but it's kind of a minor thing. Yeah. Because they don't tie unlocks to you completing the goals. Now it's they tie unlocks to you getting all the stat points. So like to unlock an ending movie for a skater, you just have to get all the stat points.
What about the like challenge stages, the like medals? Do you automatically still have like a gold medal?
Yeah, all that stuff's just done. So you don't. But also, it's not only that you don't; it's that you can't. So if you want to do that progression again, I'm not sure actually how you would do it. They have other modes, like they added a new speed run mode that is like the timer ticks up, and basically you need to get all the goals as quickly as possible.
Oh, cool.
Which is and they have an online leaderboard for that. They've got like a single session with online leaderboards for that too, and that stuff's well done. Yeah, I think they made it look really nice. It feels really good. It's. I hope they treat it as a platform and add like Tony Hawk 3 and maybe even 4 to it after the fact.
Yeah, we got into that a little bit on the hotspot on Friday, but it sounds like, because this is $40 and it's 2 games worth of stuff. So if you look at that as like $20 a game, like they could put out a couple $20 packs to get 3 and 4 in there. But do you think they could go beyond that? Like, first of all, how many mainline Tony Hawks were there? Were there 8?
10? 8, 9, 10.
9
yeah, it's Project 8 and
Project
this Proving
8.
Ground I think is the last one.
Okay, like
before Ride.
Or did they just get so different at some point that it would not accommodate?
They get so different that, like, when you think about it in terms of levels and 2-minute timers and all of the UI that they've built around those concepts, once even 4 is kind of weird at that point because the levels in 4 got a lot bigger. But certainly I think once you get to like Thug 1, it's kind of a different game in a way that it would need more work.
Is that when you could get off the board?
Yes.
Thug? Okay.
Yeah.
American Wasteland, you ride a bike.
What?
Yeah. It's fucked up.
It was just a nice feeling when I booted it up for the first time and watched the intro movie and just seeing like everyone who's back, and then seeing the new school skaters, and then looking them up and realizing some of them are younger than the first Tony Hawk game. And just
that's
being
cool.
like, oh fuck.
The choice to make all of the skaters from the original games the age they are now. Like choice to make them all look like a bunch of old dudes and
the actual 3D
Alyssa
models?
Steamer.
Yes. have been wow.
It's
Age?
like it's current day Tony Hawk. It's not not 20 years ago Tony Hawk even. It's not 80s Tony Hawk. It's
now I really don't want him to fall.
yeah.
They're just getting up. They're like, oh.
52 is the new 20 or however old Tony Hawk is.
It's so good. And whatever. Like, a lot of those, I assume they're all still skating. I don't,
Yeah,
Tony Hawk certainly is. And it's just so fucking cool. It's a great game. It's really awesome. There are like a handful of things that I think they could have tweaked one way or the other for around some of that career stuff, or things they could even patch in to give people the choice to redo the goals if they wanted to, or whatever. But I think they did a really good job of like treating those 2 games with the respect they deserve in a way that they didn't get last time around when they were remade. I mean, it's just I think the people working on that game did have a respect for it back then, but it just didn't come out in the product. Like that thing felt wrong in a way that this feels right. And this feels right in that same way of like, it feels like a much more modern Tony Hawk than those games did originally.
I think you nailed it when you said it feels like how you remember Tony Hawk feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's totally. And yeah, it's a hell of a product. They did a really good job with it. It's what you want a remake to be in
awesome.
Almost every way. And I don't know that I'm going to go back and like hit level 100 and do all that stuff. Like I definitely want to play some more multiplayer. And maybe try to do, because they've added challenges like to unlock special trick slots and costumes and stuff like that. They have a bunch of skater specific challenges that are outside of that core progression. They're like, do a combo that has exactly 5 tricks and only 1 revert, no specials, and it needs to get this number of points. And like they've added a lot of cool stuff like that I wish the tracking was better, like in terms of just like put that on the screen like a MMO quest so that I can always see what I'm working on. But like it's great stuff that's in there that gives you a little bit more to shoot for, and that's pretty rad.
It seems almost improbable to me that it turned out this way, but here we are. It's just been such a rough, long rough road for Tony Hawk remakes and remasters and stuff.
I mean, you even remember the end of that franchise, like the diminishing returns they saw once they got to the 360. Even like once they got off of PlayStation 2. Like everything post Thug 2, I think was just downhill. Even arguably even before then, I think some people didn't really like the Thug games all that much because it got a little too jackass like. But like, you know, American Wasteland is okay, Project 8 is okay, Proving Ground, like they're all okay.
Project 8.
Project 8's a little rough. But it just got to a point where they'd been doing it a little too long, a little too annually. Like they'd burned out a lot of that goodwill. The new ideas weren't as good anymore. They did like that nail the trick stuff where you go into slow motion and focuses on the board and you kind of move the analog sticks different ways to make the board flip randomly. And it's like on paper, you're like, that's a cool idea. In practice, you're like, fuck this. This is like not actually fun to do. And they just lost the plot with it. And then eventually they just cashed it all in and said, here's Tony Hawk Ride.
Ride. Jeez.
And then Shred. Like, let's make a snowboarding Tony Hawk game because we sold these boards, or actually didn't sell these boards. So, you know, like that franchise was one of the first ones that I feel like Activision rode into the ground, you know, and earned them that reputation. And it's cool to see them kind of get it back here in a way that even Tony Hawk 5, like it just makes Tony Hawk 5 look even more like this, just like contractually obligated product. And just like, well, we got to finish up our business with Tony Hawk. Just pump this shit out.
Do you think, you know, I mean, I feel like this game could sell very well. Like they did a good job. Everyone's talking about it. Do you think beyond adding, you know, maybe a 2 or a 3 and 4 level pack or something like that, do you think they maybe want to take on a new Tony Hawk game?
Sure. I think if this does well, and if they do a 3 and 4, whether that's a separate game or DLC for this one, personally, I would like to see it be DLC because I think a multiplayer hopper that can pull from all of those levels at once is like a more compelling thing than having 2 separate ones.
It's like Halo Infinite.
Totally, or it's like Thug Pro. I mean,
Master Chief Collection is what.
Yeah, it's like Thug Pro. You know, like if they can build their own official Thug Pro. Then great, cool. And I would be willing to listen if they said, hey, we're going to make a new Tony Hawk, because I think that they can reset expectations for the franchise with these remakes if they do it right. And then at that point they can go like, okay, what do we view as what is the beating heart of the Tony Hawk franchise right now? Whereas like those later 360 games had just gotten so far down with so many weird rabbit holes that it was just like impossible to know what fans would want, I think, at that point. And so, but I think like taking it back to this kind of more simplified structure, 2-minute runs, all that other stuff, which they kind of tried to do with Tony Hawk 5, but they didn't have that foundation. They didn't have that trust with the user base. They didn't have, and also the game sucked shit. Like Tony Hawk 5, it cannot be overstated how fucking bad that game is. The level design, the goal design, the feel of it, the idea that it was this kind of always online thing that you're automatically connecting to a fucking lobby most of the time. Like just bad ideas layered on top of bad execution. It fucking looked like shit. That game fucking sucked. Holy shit. It was bad. And for them to be able to put this out and like effectively wipe away a lot of the memories of those last 4 Tony Hawk products, Ride, Shred, HD, and 5, like they have earned it. They have gotten back to a place where it's like, okay, these are people that know how to execute well on what Tony Hawk was, and I would love to see them after like a successful like 3 and 4 remake, if that's like continually an upward trajectory, I would love to see them take a stab at just like, okay, we're going to make some new levels now. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be like, hey, we're going to put in 30 more grinds where every single one of them is someone pulls out a prop. And it's like, oh, I got a boombox. I got a guitar. I got a big rubber dildo. You know, like just they don't need to lean on that shit.
I'm Darth Maul.
Yeah. Well, they could have done better on that front, I think. because I don't know for sure. Officer Dick might be the only hidden character in that game. I haven't
think
checked.
so.
Like the idea that they put this out and didn't put Captain Price in it, or like Frank Woods to be a more modern tie-in to some Activision
Crash
thing.
Bandicoot.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot would have actually, another that would have been a good choice as well. And whatever else, Pitfall Harry. I don't know what the fuck does Activision even own anymore.
Spyro the Dragon.
Tracer.
Oh yes, actually, you know what? Yes, like if it put Reaper in it.
I'm doing the 900.
grind.
They could have done some maybe some cooler shit. Though I guess like Officer Dick is played by Jack Black, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Huh.
So that's a
That's
goofy little twist to it, I guess.
That casts those early streams he did of the game in a different light, I guess. But interesting.
You know, I feel like those two are intertwined.
Yeah,
like
sure.
He has an interest and gets
sure.
involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool that worked out. That's not. I don't think what anybody would have seen coming, but here we are.
It's fucking awesome. They really nailed it, man. It's cool that they did it as well as they did it, man. Yeah. It's impressive.
Real quick, I guess before we get to break here, y'all play some Spellbreak? Somebody else? I think Ben did.
Real quick, Brad, I could talk about this game for 2.5 hours.
Really?
Holy shit! I love this game.
I can tell you my experience, my entire experience with Spellbreak in about 2.5 seconds. Which is,
go ahead.
I went through the tutorial. I played one match in which I got 7 kills and then won the match. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, and I had played it on the PS4 and I got like a third of the trophies in the entire game off that one match. And I was just like, I'm just going to turn this game off. It's not going to get any better than that. This game seems cool, but there's nowhere to go but down from here. So goodbye.
Unfortunately, I'm about to burst your bubble and tell you that you're playing against bots.
Damn it. The thought, fuck, man.
Hey, trophies are trophies, man.
That thought crossed my mind, but like when I went through the modes, because you select the mode and it's just like tutorial and battle, whatever. And I was like, man, don't fucking tell me these are bots.
I had a similar thing. I won my first 2 games.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm the greatest Spellbreak player who's ever lived. I'm pursuing a sponsorship. I'm quitting.
Right.
This is my life now.
The other reason I wanted to believe those were real players is that I didn't think there was any way they would give you all those trophies off of a fucking bot match. I was like, surely they were going to hold those back and make you earn those for real, but apparently not.
So Spellbreak is Wizard Battle Royale. It is way more ability and movement focused than other battle royales. It is not, I mean, you still have to aim your spells and shit, but it is not a PUBG. It is not, you have a gun and you need to be able to shoot your shots. It's more about managing your cooldowns, managing your movement and stuff.
Okay, my first question was going to be, can I cast a spell that conjures an AK-47? But
I think the closest there is the lightning, because they've got kind of a machine gun vibe on the right click.
Yeah, the flame gauntlet is like kind of a rocket launcher, right?
Yeah,
like some of the spells are sort of like gun analogs from shooters. But
the toxic has kind of a spray, like a shotgun. But basically, the game works. You choose a class at the beginning, and that's going to be your default gauntlet. There's 6 of them: earth, wind, fire, lightning,
heart.
Ice, and heart. No, like one toxic.
Friendship.
And whatever gauntlet you pick, every gauntlet has like 2 abilities. It has like kind of just like a single shot thing that is managed by a mana bar. It's if it's shoot a lightning bolt, it's shoot a fireball. It's pretty basic stuff. And then an active ability on a cooldown. And that's usually like a bigger AoE thing, like a big toxic cloud or a tornado if you're the wind class. And then whichever class you start out with that gauntlet and then some sort of mastery over that gauntlet. Because when the game starts and when you're like in there, you can have up to 2 and you can be like, okay, I have a main lightning, but then I also have a stone on my offhand or whatever. But the class you pick has special things. So like if you're the wind class and you have your wind gauntlet, if you shoot a wind blast at the ground, it's going to pop you up into the air. Or if you're the ice class and you shoot your little ice bow, the arrow leaves a little trail and you can skate along it like an ice skater and you get more movement speed and stuff. And then you can combine that.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you notice that the ice will melt into a puddle? And then I wonder if does that synergize with lightning at that point?
I believe it does.
Like zap it
Also, you can melt it prematurely with fire. So like that's the coolest part about this game is all of the elements interact with each other in a sort of like Magica-esque way, where like if I throw down a tornado and somebody else shoots fire into it, it becomes a fire tornado, and then that will do like damage over time and suck you in instead of just sucking you in like a normal tornado does. And so the game is about like kind of learning these masteries, and then there's like runes on top of that, and the runes will be stuff like give you flight. There's one that like shows enemy positions, a teleport, stuff like that. So you're managing like all these cooldowns. I've mostly been playing the air class, and once you're kind of loaded out, you can just stay in the sky for pretty much ever. You're just like floating around. If you have the right rune, you're up in the air. You throw a couple things at the ground, it'll bounce you back up. As you play, you kind of level up within the game, and each tier of those gives you additional like abilities and modifiers and stuff. So like the wind one, it'll be like, okay, you throw a tornado down, and then you can hop into it and it'll shoot you out, but it won't shoot anyone else out. Or like if you're in the air, all your cooldowns are going down faster. So it encourages you to kind of play like that. Whereas the earth one will encourage you to stay on the ground because you'll get like bonus armor if you're stationary, stuff like that. It seems really smartly designed in that regard. It's like they've kind of thought of like how would these elements work? Like, let's make it so that everything works like you would think. So if you're going to shoot this into this, it explodes in a way. It's just really fucking fun, man. It's exactly my kind of game. You know, I like games that are very movement and movement oriented. Like that's why Apex was my favorite of the battle royales, because you had like characters that were super mobile. You know, Pathfinder has this grappling hook, even just the basic slide. Like this game, everyone can float. You know, you can just kind of hold space to kind of float in the air, and that'll use up some of your mana bar. It's a lot of fun. And, like it's got some stuff that's pretty unique to it. So, you know, with most battle royales, you're kind of looking around for like open doors, open chests. This has that stuff in it, but then also you're like listening for the sound of lightning or like listening for a fire, because if you hear those things, you know there's a fight going on. And so you're kind of like surveying the land, and you hear the lightning crackle off to the east, and so you know there's a fight going down there, and you can head that way. It's really cool. The only issue I have, well, I have a couple small issues with it. One is that it's completely lacking any voice acting at all, which is a big problem for me, because Apex is so good at like, if your teammate is getting shot at, one of the characters says like, oh shit, they see us, they're shooting at us, you know, and so you can kind of stop looting and just like turn your head on a swivel and go over there. But in Spellbreak, unfortunately, they don't have any of that. The most you get is like, you'll see their username start to flash, and I think that signifies that they're taking damage, but I'm still not 100% sure. And then the pacing of it is a little different from most of the battle royales I've played, where it kind of usually ends with a big like 12-person fight. There's usually like one fight at the beginning when kind of everyone drops and you drop next to another squad. But most of my games go like one fight at the beginning, and then if you win that fight, you make it to the last circle with like 12 other people, and it's just this huge, there's just dozens of spells popping off. Everything's on fire. There's like 15 people in the sky just like looking down at everyone, throwing down lightning bolts and shit.
This sounds great.
It is so chaotic, but it is really fun. Like if you're into that sort of like chaos, it is tremendous. It's free also, and you know, there's nothing, I mean, you can buy costumes and stuff, but you're also earning gold that you can use in the store. I haven't found anything in there that you would like explicitly have to pay for, but I wouldn't be surprised if they add some sort of battle pass down the line that maybe you could throw a couple bucks at.
They add voices to the battle pass.
I just looked it up. It says the matches top out at 42 players. Like, do they still feel feel like pretty populated, pretty active? Like,
yeah, I think maybe the map is a little big for that number, especially because like the way it works at the beginning isn't like any other battle royale I've played. Instead of like having one place for everyone to drop, or you're dropping out of a plane or a bus or whatever, it's like there's like 16 random circles on the map, and you choose which circle you want to drop in, and it tells you if other people have occupied that same circle too. So you could like intentionally avoid other people entirely, or you could try and go somewhere hot, which I think is an interesting way to go about it, but I think it maybe splits people up a little too much, because I feel like every time I've played, people have wanted to opt for no, let's go where it's safe and just loot and then fight. Whereas I am typically a kind of player who likes to get in there, get spicy, get some like practice in, try and hit my shots. I've definitely had games won where I've just like timed people out. I'm just like flying up in the air, keeping myself above, not shooting anything, but just like keep propelling myself up. And the circle gets smaller and smaller, and I'm just like in the air. It's like those early clips of like Fortnite where people just build straight up and then just sit up there and win because other people die to the circle and stuff. The last thing I'll say that this game does that is unique and a real motherfucker is there is friendly fire. Especially with some of the spell combinations.
Like some of those AoEs are pretty tough to use precisely.
Yeah,
it seems like.
And so they deal with it with a cool way where like you can't hurt yourself with a lot of the stuff, but like so the air class, I make a tornado with the intention of jumping into it and propelling out of it. If I make the tornado and then somebody else from another team throws a fireball at that tornado, it suddenly becomes their tornado. So I get sucked into it. There's a real cool push and pull with like how the spells work. And if you're really on your shit and like surveying the battlefield, you can just like interrupt other people's combos with like a well-precised shot. Oh, it's neat. It is just a blast. Like they really nailed the feel of you are a fucking bender flying through the air, bending the shit out of some spells.
It's cool. It's
so cool.
It's cool. It's cool to hear it's got that depth. Like it's
yeah.
I hope it's got some legs on it from just people finding cool ways to exploit all those systems.
I was watching a streamer play, and they had one of the devs in there talking about, they're working on new elements already and stuff like that. So it seems like they're willing to support it pretty healthily.
Cool.
And it had a pretty long early access run too, right?
I played some of it on UPF. Like, God, remember UPF?
What?
Like a year ago or something like that. I fucking no idea.
I think we still had the couch.
You might be right.
If to put in perspective.
Yeah. That one's been kicking around for a while.
Ancient history then.
Yes. I move that we take a quick break. We got a couple more games to talk about.
Really? Okay, never mind. After the break.
Yeah, we'll come back. We got more. There's more to come.
James just really wants to talk about anime.
I bet he does.
I know.
Yes, he does.
The face shapes.
I bet
you already talked about bend and stuff. We're already over the limit.
That's right.
That's not an anime, Jeff. You're gonna make Twitter really mad if you say that.
No, it's an anime. They invented anime. That was the first anime.
We have to go to break. We'll be right back. We're back. Jeff, I want to hear about Ultrakill. I was going to play it this weekend, and then I decided instead that I should turn off my computer and not continue.
I love it.
Not continue pumping more heat into this room that was already at like 90 degrees.
Not a bad idea.
So, whereas I stripped down to near nude and played video games.
Yeah. It's also an option.
Weekend.
I tried taking a cold shower in the middle of all that to see if that would do it, and it did it for about 5 minutes, and it was just like, nope.
That's the last thing you want to do, Brad. You want to just eat hot soup.
What?
Yeah, eat hot soup. You'll regulate your body temp.
Huh.
I've heard that. Yes. Or you could also get like a nice
eat hot soup.
Yeah, a nice cloth and just run it under some water and just put it around the back of your neck or something and just re-wet that down.
Thinly sliced cucumbers and put them on the back of your neck.
Ooh,
that also helps.
I eat those.
You can still eat them later.
Eat them off your neck, real nice.
Get a nice
fun
brine.
and sensual.
Yeah. Ultrakill is an early access first-person shooter that has a deliberately old school style to it. But also has like kind of a combo system to kind of string kills together. One of the first things it asks you is if you want PlayStation 1 style polygon warping and low res and all that other stuff.
They actually went out of their way to add that?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So it's kind of a weird mixed metaphor of like it's kind of trying to be a classic first person shooter that you would never in a million years play with a controller, but it also has PS1 graphical options.
That is a strange, Huh.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the cusp and it's already happened, with like pixel art and everyone just calls everything 8-bit, even though it's not. But I feel like we're about to like fall into this big crevice of devs making more stuff like this, that if you were playing games then you just look at it and go like, what? That's not.
You just picked like you picked and chose.
This was never
like,
a thing.
Yeah,
This didn't.
You just like grab bag of elements from like 4 different platforms that never belong together.
But whatever. It looks neat. Ultrakill. You can play it in levels, or you can play. I think the endless mode might be a little more interesting. But it's let's see. It's a fast-paced.
They straight up evoke Devil May Cry in the Steam description for that game. It's just like, we put a character action combo system into an old school shooter or something like that.
Right. So as you're going around shooting things with your pistol, you unlock more weapons as you go. But I only have like 2 variants of the pistol. So like a headshot will get you something. A limb shot, you can jump up in the air and hold the jump down, so you stay up longer. And the longer you stay up, you get a multiplier. Similarly, you have a ground slide that is like a super fast slide that goes like forever if you keep holding the button down. And so you'll get a multiplier if you let that slide go for a long time. And then you're just shooting these gross hell enemies. You also have a punch. So all those things combo together, and if you're killing quick enough, the combo meter fills up. It doesn't really feel like it's judging you on style per se. You probably get more meter for what they consider to be a stylish kill compared to just a regular kill, but it basically feels like you want to string your kills together to get that meter up higher, and you'll get more points if you do it. But at the end of the day, like, the game is still like, hey, get to the end of this level, maybe find some secrets that'll give you some multipliers for your score as well, and just kind of keep going. But it's got like a ground pound, and also sometimes you'll be on glass, and so you can ground pound through the glass, which is not a good thing a lot of the time. Your default weapon is a pistol that just has a single shot, but if you charge it up with the right mouse, it's a piercing shot that can break glass. So like, enemies will be running at you and you shoot the glass under them, they all fall and die. And so you got to get different situations like that.
This is like throwing me for a loop, because in the era of shooters that this game is trying to evoke, I used right mouse for run forward.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna hate it.
I don't know if I could do this. Totally have run on right mouse.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Also, that's ridiculous.
For the first like 10, 15 years of playing shooters, fucking anything went back then, man. Like, you were.
Yeah, you're right. That stuff had not been codified.
You were binding your hotkeys to Quake by editing your autoexec.cfg. Like,
you were bringing a floppy disk to LAN parties so you could run your autoexec on other machines. Right. Like, it was nonsense. The world was a nightmare.
There was no WASD back then. Like, out of the box, Quake's default movement keys are the arrow keys.
Yeah, it's a damn
anything
travesty.
Anything went back then.
When I started at GameSpot, there was someone there playing Quake that moved run forward to the space bar and then balanced a coffee cup on the space bar, so they didn't have to hold it down anymore.
Wow,
So they were always moving forward.
All right, sure,
it's a good mentality.
Sure,
just insane. Anyway, so yeah, you've got a like high level of air control on your jumps in a Quake-like fashion, but maybe even a little bit more than that. Like, it's like full stop, go the other way, like type of air control. The second weapon I got is a revolver. The default shot seems like pretty much the same as the other weapon, but instead of that charge shot, you flip a coin out, and if you shoot the coin, it then ricochets the coin into the nearest enemy. You can throw multiple coins, and it will juggle. It'll bounce through all the coins and kind of do more damage that way, which is like kind of a cool concept. And then it has an endless mode, which is like you're on this grid, and every wave of enemies you kill, the whole grid reshapes itself, and you get lowered up, and the floor drops out. All this other stuff, and it's kind of a cool effect. It's a neat idea, but at some point, like, I feel like there are a billion of these now, and they're probably all still in early access, and all of them seem to be being published by the same 2 or 3 publishers. And it's just like this weird. It feels like this game already exists. I feel like I played this already, in some weird way.
Yeah, I could see it.
Oh, Jeff, you played it on
and not because it's evoking,
and
not because it's like evoking some very old shooter, but because like so many different people have tried to evoke this era of shooting in different ways, that it just kind of feels like a little bit more of that. And I think a lot of those games have just kind of failed to distinguish themselves.
Sure.
But this is early access, so we'll kind of see where it gets to. I think it has a couple of neat ideas in there. But Ultrakill, yeah, I mean, the downside is I think it kind of feels like one of those.
Okay. I'll check it out
for whatever that's worth. Absolutely check it out. Like, but It grabbed me for about 2 or 3 runs, and I was like, all right, I'm cool. I don't think I'm gonna touch this until they've added a lot more to it.
Weirdly, this game coming out reminded me that Devil Daggers exists.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Kind of makes me
Devil
wanna
Daggers is cool.
makes me want to go play some more Devil Daggers.
Yeah.
Might play some more of that.
Yeah.
A couple more quick games real fast before we get to the emails here. Jan, you love soccer now?
I am in love with football now. I love it.
No, I said soccer.
Soccer.
Not
You're
football.
correct. Sorry.
Kaepernick stuff was earlier. We're moving on.
Yeah. I am in love with anime soccer now.
Ooh,
I want one of those jerseys. I want to run on, is it a pitch? Is that the right word?
Sure.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure, on a
with that.
pitch.
Did you learn that from the anime?
So I haven't learned anything from the anime, Jason, because I remember you've brought it up in previous weeks that you've struggled to get to the actual soccer game parts because of
so much tutorial and exposition.
Yes. What I've dug through the options, and there's an option to skip all the dialogue, skip every single cutscene, any type of relationship they've built into the game, and just go straight into playing the soccer.
Okay.
All
right.
But how are you going to kick
anime
the footy
out?
around? How are you?
Does it just say anime off? Like, what do you?
Pretty much. It's pretty much that.
Checkbox that says I'm not a sicko, and you check that, and it goes like, all right, we'll turn all this crap off for you.
Everything needs an anime toggle.
Yeah. So like fans of like the series will probably think it's sacrilegious to skip through all the important story beats, but the game opened with you. It looked like making a moral choice of whether or not to play soccer, and I didn't quite want to do that. I just wanted to play the anime soccer with the spirit tigers. And
he was a baby. He was a baby, and he chased a soccer ball out into the street, and this truck came. But the soccer the soccer ball saved him. It came in between him and the truck hit the soccer ball, and the kid went flying, and then they bounced on the soccer ball again, which saved him. He's in love with that soccer ball.
So it's like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is just Yu Yu Hakusho, but instead of soccer, it's demon hunting.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
Maybe that's just the pattern for the anime.
Disgusting.
Or anime.
Toggle that garbage off. That stuff's gonna rot your brains.
But I think it's a testament to like a good sports game for you to get interested in the actual sport afterwards.
Seems like it'd be tough to follow this game up with real soccer, though, because there are no ghost tigers and
spirit
real
animals.
Soccer, right?
Might I suggest Mega Man Soccer for the SNES?
Okay.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's really neat. You know, you're building up like a spirit meter per player. That if you do a successful dodge against an incoming opponent, that boosts up your spirit so you can keep sprinting down the pitch. And then once you do like 2 successful dodges, you can charge up your super kick, which is different depending on the player. So, you could get a tiger kick or you could get like a bullet kick. And the whole time you're kind of wearing down your goalie or your opponent's goalie, which is a neat mechanic because constantly I'm just tackling the opponents to just beat the shit out of the opposing goalie so I can just scoop one past them. I don't know if it handles like soccer well because I don't watch it. I don't play any of the FIFA games, but for what it feels like as like a quick arcadey type of deal, of just running back and forth and just scoring as much as you can, like it's really, really fun. There, like Jason, like you said, there's a bunch of tutorials in the game that you can skip. And some of those mechanics that they throw into it is fairly complicated, like the crisscross, like pass back and forth ping pong type of deal, which I haven't completely nailed yet.
I want them to tell me how to do the bear kick.
Oh, the bear kick. You just have to charge up your like long pass.
I keep doing that, and I just get the bullet thing. I want a bear.
Maybe
how do I do the bear?
Maybe I'm like a match ahead of you. Oh, the hawk. You have to get them into your team. It's a lot of weird stuff.
You know what's actually kind of cool about that game is there's certain like criteria that will like maybe you're not even seeing it because you shut off the anime, but there's like anime cutscenes that happen during the match. Like all of a sudden,
those will still pop.
Those will still happen. Okay, yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you're saying the anime toggle does not solve every problem.
No, it's not a full stop. The faucet is still leaky. The last thing I want to say is that some of the players will have also special abilities. So every player you can do a like diving tackle to get the ball, but there's certain players that will do that, but also have like a leg sweep, and they'll sweep the leg of the opposing player, and they'll like it's pretty much 100% guaranteed to steal the ball. It's great. It's great.
I think that'll get you a red card. I don't know. That seems like
I haven't gotten fouled at all yet, so I think anything flies in anime soccer. Perhaps
put them in a body.
It's like NHL 94 for the Genesis. Anything goes.
Also, the face shapes. I don't know what it is. I just really like the face shapes of this anime. It's like nice, soft, rounded faces. I don't know.
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with this conversation.
The triangular, hard-edged faces.
Yeah, it's round and soft. I'm with you.
Yeah, the hair kind of like accentuates. Yeah, it's like soft but still pointy.
Yes, I feel like soon we're gonna start talking about how clean they are, and I just can't. I'm sorry.
They're surprisingly pretty clean.
Oh man. All right, real fast, Jason. You said you played some of that Kingdoms of Amalur remake. How's that look?
I did. It looks good. It looks like the PC version of that game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
appropriate.
Surprisingly enough, yeah, it runs at like a solid 60. The textures are cleaned up. Resolution's good. It looks fine as far as I can tell. I don't know exactly what they've added to that remaster. I got to check that out yet, but I played a fair bit of that game not too terribly long ago, so I'm anxious to get into this one to find out what's new. Because I like that game.
I have like next to no recollection of what that game even is. Is that a loot game? Is it a
it's a loot game? Yeah.
Is it a Skyrim?
Kind of a character action. I mean, it's not first person like that.
Right? Yeah, I knew that.
It's definitely like it's. Was Todd McFarlane involved? Because I'm pretty sure he was.
I want to say, wasn't he like? He was kind of like the
character Salvatore.
Yeah,
right. They pitched that whole thing as like some super group of like R.A. Salvatore is writing the fiction, and like Todd McFarlane is like defining the visual style. And
yep,
I don't want to know.
Definitely comes through.
I don't want to know what Kurt Schilling was doing.
I don't want it. He was sitting in the corner eating the craft services,
bleeding into his socks.
Yeah, so check out this sock. No, all right.
I think like the thing was like kind of a bigger success than people expected, wasn't it? If I remember,
I think it was.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. I'm not sure how successful it was. Like the studio, there's some shitty stuff that went down with the studio, of course, but
because that wasn't even the main 38 studio, but that was like Big Huge Games or whatever, right? Like they kind of got.
Like they made a bunch of money off of it, but then they like reinvested it into an MMO that's just fucking
the MMO
tanked.
that sank the company.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I think it did pretty well. I think critically it was received pretty well too.
I wonder if the state of Rhode Island is getting any money off of this re-reckoning.
Right.
If they're making any of their money back on it. But I remember really liking this game when it came out. It was like surprisingly deep, but still like approachable. It was like you could feel like, hey, this is something that is meant to introduce you to an MMO sized world, but it is not an MMO. And so it ended up just having more to it than I think. I remember the combat being pretty good. Like you get like different weapons. Like weren't there like rings? You get like combat.
All those chakrams. Oh yeah,
chakrams.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I remember that.
So you can have a primary and a secondary weapon. So I usually have the chakrams as the second, and you can have like flaming ones. And it's just like this big ring of fire, just like you keep moving. It was awesome. The game's neat.
A bunch of people in chat are describing it as like a single player MMO, which is kind of now it's starting to come back to me. It's just kind of like that whole mobs are just hanging out in the world and you just run them and kill them, get some stuff and move
Fable
on.
Without the comedy, but with deeper combat.
And round soft faces.
Yeah.
Oh, there too?
The anime there is toggled off permanently.
Right.
All right. Video games are out. And we are playing them, it seems. And some of them are good.
I don't even have time to talk about Moon.
Some more of them will continue to come. We will talk about further video games in coming weeks. And I hope more of them continue to be good.
I need to get into Moon.
Ben, should I play Moon? Okay.
You could just talk about Moon if you want. I don't know.
No, I need to play Moon.
Well, Jan,
Okay,
Jan, you sat in on the quick look with me. Do you really quick want to just tell everyone what Moon is?
Moon is a RPG that released on the PS1, but didn't actually come. It wasn't localized to the US, correct? Right? And
yeah, but what do you do? What's the game?
you walk around and you talk to the folks, and there's like ghost demon spirits around, and you find love. We gave a dog a bone in the quick look.
I hear you.
Did.
And then we were accosted by a woman outside of a bar, and then we went into a bakery, and then it got really existential real fast. And then we entered a cave where there was a guitar man, and he got shy, I think.
Guitar man or a Guitaru man?
No.
No, I wish it was a guitar man.
Okay.
But we bought albums from this guitar man, and then we went into a theater. Was it a theater? It's
sure.
It was a theater. Then we had to copy the sounds or identify the sounds.
So it's one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an Undertale.
I feel like I've played so many of those recently that it's just like, I don't know. No, I put it on UPF, I think.
I didn't understand a single thing about this game when Ben was showing it to me, but I loved every second of it.
So there's no anime toggle in this game, is what you're saying.
I don't know if it's anime.
Moon is one of those like Rosetta Stone games that it like makes a lot of other games make a lot of sense when you play it.
Sure, it's like watching like a cult classic movie like Godfather 20 years after it came out. And like, oh, that's what that reference is.
Huh. Weird. What a weird thing.
I'll talk about it more when I beat it. I think I'm close to the end, but
are you?
I think so. Yeah, I played a bit more since we last.
Oh, and then there's like there was like a boy strapped to like a post, but he was into it. He just wanted to be there. He just wanted to hang out.
Yeah, I got some love when I asked for directions.
Yeah,
Video games are back.
Okay then. All right. Did they ever leave? Who could say? All right. Why don't we read a few emails while we still can?
Yeah,
sure.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the address. I've got them queued up here. I'm just going to get right into it. Here's an email from Vino. This is how this was signed.
What's up, Vino?
Okay, the new Fast and Furious game is bad. What would make a hypothetical good Fast and Furious game? Nothing is a valid answer.
It's not feasible. It's not like if you wanted to represent, the breadth of the Fast franchise in a video game. Like,
you can't do it.
You can't.
You have to pick a movie.
Yeah, or would you make it? Okay, what if you made
like a loot game, huh? Like the Avengers.
Shut up.
Yeah. Okay.
Bad
great.
answer.
Live service.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
What if you made like Payday, but with cars, like vehicular
That's my exact answer.
stuff? Like you kind of, it's kind of a heist game. It's kind of a heist and hijinks kind of thing.
Is it all cars, or is there cars and on foot?
I think you would do. I think in this game that just came out, it is cars, but I think you would do cars and on foot. I think you would have to represent both, and also non-car vehicles like hydrofoils or fucking spaceships or something.
I think to make a good Fast and Furious game, you would have to look at Fast 5 as your jumping off point, because that movie, the whole concept was like, it's a big heist and we're getting everyone together and everyone has their own skill. And that's kind of how you define your character classes or whatever. You have your driver class, you have your, you have Han there so he can go get the handprint of the hot lady. You got Ludacris there because you need Luda in the mix. I mean, that's just, he's like a bard. He kind of raises everyone's
stats.
He buffs everyone.
Yeah. Support class for sure.
That's what the Luda class does.
Yeah. He's like an all-purpose. I mean, he's just there because he's fun to hang out with, and he kind of brings the mood up a little bit,
So is it a Luda Shoota?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Didn't they make Ludacris a hacker, like a good computer man at some point too? Isn't that his true skill? Wouldn't he be? I forget, but yeah, I think that would be how you would try to approach it. But that Crossroads game doesn't, and that Crossroads game is truly. I know we talked about Tony Hawk 5 being a bad game earlier. Crossroads is in that same kind of echelon, that same vein of like, this is what, like, it's amazing this got made. This is one of the worst games of the modern era. In terms of just like, coming out on a console and reaching a certain level of budget, we could shit talk small Steam games all day long, and they're probably technically worse. But I mean, from a rising to a certain tier of price, there's like $100 version of that fucking game. Comes with a season pass for a multiplayer mode that has 0 people playing it because the game is fucking trash. I wonder if there would be some interesting dev stories from the process of making Fast and Furious Crossroads, because it's truly
is Vin Diesel actually in the game? Like Michelle Rodriguez?
Yeah, they got a lot of voices.
Really?
Yeah, because it was the big reveal of the Game Awards like 2 years ago was Vin Diesel walking out on stage and being like, "It's finally here, the video game we all wanted."
There's a fucking Tygon Studios logo on it too. Yeah,
wow.
Which I wonder if that's even a company or if that's just Vin Diesel going like, "No, put the logo from my thing on there." It's still, I mean, yeah, it's still a thing. I'm the only employee, but it's still a thing.
That's got to be what that is.
I'm working on it, right? So my studio, by virtue, is working. Yeah, I wonder. It's a real piece of trash. It is almost a criminal act when they say things at the beginning of old arcade games where they're like, if you're playing this game outside the country of Japan, you are engaging in a criminal act. Stop. It should say that at the start of this. But if you're playing the game anywhere, you are engaging in a criminal act. It's astoundingly rotten.
Man, that's rough. Who made that?
Fantastic.
Slightly Mad Studios.
Oh, right. God.
Who has like a car pedigree of sorts.
Right.
So it sounds like people are not happy with Project Cars 3 on account of they have softened it a bit and made it less hardcore. I played one race of that out of curiosity and did not find it to be particularly exciting.
No. Okay. Next email from Samuel. Okay. Every floor in the world and the ground are always clean, and you will never step on anything filthy like gum or dog shit, but everyone is forced to always be barefoot. Is life better?
No.
Yeah.
No. Keep your tootsies away from
ankle
me.
support, foot support. As someone who has not been wearing shoes for a long time, I will tell you my feet are much worse off.
Yeah, you said
than they
that.
were
You said that
before we started.
I don't remember if you said that in public on a show or if that was just in a meeting or something, but you mentioned that like a month ago. And I was
with the foot meeting we have, our weekly foot check.
Yes, our
meeting.
weekly foot, our Monday morning foot check-in.
All right, take them out, folks.
That came up.
Nope.
Wait, that was not an invitation. But you said that, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking?" Like, I love being barefoot. Like, the only good thing about this lifestyle now is I don't have to put on shoes anymore. And then, like, a week later, I won't get into it, but like, I'm having some major callus issues on the bottom. I had to go out and buy some slippers. I have like, I am now wearing.
Crocs?
No, they were like, I mean, I might get something better at some point. I just got something for $10 at the Ross down the street, but
I bought Uggs.
I'm full on
slippers.
full on having to wear socks and slippers now because it's super fucking up the ball of my foot.
Yep, the ball of my foot has been fucking train wreck for about the last 2 months or something like that. It came on all at once. It was like this sudden, like it's the first steps I take in the morning getting out of bed. It's like, man, my feet are fucked. And then for about 10 minutes, they're fine. But it's just crazy. So I have slippers, but like it's just the weather's too hot for these slippers.
Yeah.
These are cold weather slippers. So I bought some slides that have not shown up yet because Adidas doesn't like to ship things in a timely fashion because why start now? And so I'm waiting on those to show up. But yeah, man, being barefoot has been it's been bad for me in a way that I certainly did not expect.
Also, like the thing about this question is that I have an issue with is like foot stink doesn't come from like, oh, I stepped in dog poo. It's just like, no, that over the day your foot sweats and it gets gnarly down there. Like having clean everything isn't going to solve that problem.
Would that be eliminated because we're not wearing socks and shoes?
Yeah, I thought about that, but I bet there would be people who would be like, you know what, I'm not wearing socks and shoes anymore. Why do I need to wash my feet anymore? It's not like they're sweating inside a shoe now. I bet people would just stop washing their feet.
They're sweating on. There's still sweat. There's still sweat in between toes.
You know that would be a not uncommon opinion.
Those people are wrong.
Yes, let's wear shoes. Everybody wears.
Why would
shoes.
this matter about shoes?
Also, I can't bend my toes, so walking around barefoot would be a recipe for disaster.
I don't want to see anybody's feet.
Yeah.
Jason, are you sure?
I got him.
Are you sure?
I will.
I can put my
walk out of here.
We could do this.
See,
Don't
that's
even-
the extent I can bend my toes.
I can't even do that.
Audio-only consumers of the show are missing out.
Show your feed at
We're gonna have to move the podcast back to premium.
No,
only
I checked.
on the live
Socks are in the
stream.
TOS, guys. Socks are in the TOS. We're fine.
Okay. All right. Next email is from Latrell. I was using the Park Creator in Tony Hawk 1 and 2 and loaded my map up with benches. I then decided to write my description as, quote, "Benches, we got benches here. See, nobody cares," end quote. I was told I could not publish it because my description contained foul language. Thoughts on this turn of events?
Say that one more time. Benches?
Nobody cares?
What was it?
Benches, we got benches here. See, nobody cares.
It's the nobody cares that is so bad because that's rude.
That's just
That's
negative.
not. Yeah, it's too
It's
negative.
not a welcoming way to describe your.
Right.
If you want people to play this level, you should probably make them feel welcome to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Is it benches?
I don't know. I got nothing on that one. It seems.
We got benches here. All right.
Benches. We got benches here.
It seems a little overly cautious, but you know.
Right.
Yeah, I can't. No.
Bench, please. Nope, I don't know.
Nothing.
Pretty
All right.
loose.
Where are my benches at?
Got no idea.
Mm-hmm.
No idea. All right. Panel of experts. Stumped. Okay. Well, how about another question? Kel from Ohio. What are the Avengers even avenging? Have they ever said? This feels like an oversight.
Injustice.
Injustice.
Do you want to do you need revenge for injustice? That seems like a, I don't know.
You know, if
No,
people are out there oppressing the weak, then
I
they
guess
are
so.
being avenged by the Avengers.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so.
That's how.
Okay.
I don't know.
It kind of, like
Benches.
early on. Is there there has to be a defining thing that's like, okay, we need to come together. Because like before, it's just a loose collection of heroes, and then they're like, no, we need to be the Avengers. We need to avenge.
And then what happened that required the formation of a West Coast Avengers? You know, like did something happen out there?
They just kept messing. Like they were like trying to do timing. And they're like, okay, this meeting's at 3:00, and they're like, what is it? 3:00?
We're gonna avenge you not showing up to this meeting by splintering off to form our own West Coast Avengers group.
That's how we started.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Couple more emails here. Mike from
Are
Chicago.
there any other Avengers? Is there like a London Avengers? Is there like a
Canadian.
We're the Perth Avengers.
is Canadian Avengers just Wolverine?
Who let the Australian in here?
Oh, we're the Perth
No.
Avengers.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Governor.
That's like I'm watching Crocodile Dundee over here.
That's not a boomerang.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. That wasn't because they use boomerangs in Australia. I was trying to think of Captain Boomerang, but he's a DC guy, so it's just like fundamentally flawed on every level.
I appreciate you taking us through it.
Do you have another email, Brad?
Mike from Chicago. After listening to last week's Bombcast about oranges, I would like to chime in on why regular oranges are a disappointment. I am a consultant and work with companies that buy fruit and vegetables for supermarkets.
Okay.
Standard navel oranges, and in fact most of the fruit we get nowadays, are shipped in a largely unripened manner and then gassed with ethylene to make them appear ripe.
Ooh,
The gas is harmless.
Gas 'em.
The gas is harmless, but it
Isn't.
means that what you are eating is basically still unripe. They do this because unripe fruits are hardier and can transport far better.
Okay.
If you really want to get to the flavor-blasted version of an orange, though, check out Miniolas, or I'm not sure if this is Tangelos or Tangelos. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Tangelo.
Tangelos, I've never heard of that before. They have solved all the issues with oranges. There typically are not any seeds. The rind is thick but can be fully removed with no hassle. The flavor is essentially the Mountain Dew version of an orange. It can't be understated how incredible these are.
They're so good.
They taste very similar to those Altoids sour orange candies, if you ever had those.
Yeah.
Are these like
Tangelos rule.
are these like hybrid, like genetically engineered, like
Yes, they seem like the sorts of things that would be illegal in some parts of the world.
have to practice?
Well, no, I mean, they're crossbred,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
It's
you
not
plant-
just that, though, right? I mean, I guess I don't know,
but it's a tangerine and a pomelo, like a grapefruit kind of. So you get that, like, it's slightly more tart, I guess. You get the tartness from the grapefruit, and they're so good. Oh, they're so good. Hey, have any of you guys ever had a grapple?
What?
No, but have any of you had a jujube, like the fruit? I learned that this was a thing yesterday.
what? No, I
I've had the
had
candy.
grapple flavored hyphy, but
It's pretty much the same.
yeah.
Grapples are wild because they just look like an apple, but they taste just like a grape. And I remember eating when I was 7, and I had like an existential crisis.
I'd much rather just have a giant grape. If it was just a big ass grape that was the size of an apple, and you just go like, how just bite into a fucking big ass grape.
And we
Yeah, and the skin starts to lose. It'd be weird, right? It'd be like
It
you're
would
eating
be
a
weird.
fucking frozen water balloon.
Okay, that sounds good actually.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Because then you could freeze the giant grape, and it's like a big. You could just get in there with a spoon and just. Oh, I remember watching James and the Giant Peach a lot at my daycare, and that was my fantasy. I was like, I want to live in a giant fruit more than anything in my life. When I grow up, I want to be a boy who lives in a giant fruit, just so you could like walk around eating it. Oh, that was the life.
Isn't it gonna like get moldy and start rotting after like a couple weeks?
A lot of flies.
Okay, well, if you start
They
bringing
solved
logic
that
into
problem.
a giant fruit problem, then I guess we're gonna have issues, Brad.
Now
They build the house when it's unripe and spray it with stuff.
Gas
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, they gas it.
you can have a giant fruit, but it can't be a magical everlasting fruit. Okay, there have to be rules.
Dang it.
God damn it. Let's see here. Jordan from Toronto. I don't even know what this is apropos of. Absolutely nothing, I guess. But he sends a link along to an interview with John Leguizamo.
Oh,
In this article, John Leguizamo compares The Pest and Super Mario Brothers to It's a Wonderful Life. He quotes the answer. He quotes the answer from John Leguizamo about those movies. Oh my God, that movie was supposed to break me out as a new big comedy star, and it didn't do so well, but kids loved it. It became a cult favorite. Every time I tour, 20-somethings always come up to me, oh, I love that movie. Can you sign my VHS, my DVD? And I'm like, oh my God, they still make those? And they're like all worn out, all scratched. I think Super Mario Brothers, like The Pest, found its audience. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. It bombed when it came out and got horrible reviews, and now it's a Christmas classic.
No, it's a
Is it
Christmas
like
classic.
that?
It's just
oh
like,
no, 100%.
it's exactly
100%.
like that.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
There was a point.
Pest?
Yeah, there'd be a point where like we'd cable, couldn't pay all the bills sometimes. So, I try and stockpile and record stuff. And there was one month where the only thing I had pre-recorded was The Pest. I had watched The Pest for like a fucking month.
That's a lot of The Pest.
And how did
I'm
that?
so sorry.
Did you have
I
to
mean,
like go to
we're-
therapy after that? Like, what? How did that?
There was no anime toggle for that.
Yeah,
It's no
you
like
turn on the anime in The Pest. That might actually help it out.
Leveler.
Oh man, maybe I just really like John Leguizamo. I don't know.
Who did he play in the Mario? Was he Luigi?
He's
He
Luigi.
was.
He's Luigi.
Luigi Mario.
Okay, then. Like, what would you do if that was your career? If you had to look back on your career and two of the things in your career were The Pest and the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I would say like,
what kind of
hey, man,
stories
those-
would
That's better.
What kind of stories would
paid
you
the
tell
bills.
yourself? Yeah.
or maybe they were fun to make. Like, who knows? I don't know. Like this.
Sure.
I got pest money.
All right.
Yeah.
Last email. Joe from Nottingham. Rank the following: apple pie, bowling, taking a bath, Sum 41.
Swap taking a bath and bowling, and that's the list. Apple pie is the best, then taking a bath, then bowling, then Sum 41.
I think I have to agree with that. I don't think I could argue.
I'm gonna go bowling, pie,
Wait, really?
Sum 41, bath, just because it's really hard for me to find a bathtub that I fit in.
Okay, that's fair.
Truly.
That's a fair point.
Truly.
You
Give me pie. Give me bowling.
really,
Give me.
you really put.
I don't want to.
41
I don't want to answer this. Everyone's gonna judge
over
me.
a bath.
I'll go for it.
Jan's gonna put Sum 41 first.
Live your truth, man. That's
Sum 41,
wow.
bowling,
Okay.
pie, bath.
I'm generally pro pop punk, but I just can't fuck with Sum 41 as much as some of my other.
I liked the single, that first song they did, but then I feel like everything they had after that was
What was the
not-
song? What was the big hit?
fucking Fat Lip.
Yes, right. Okay. Yes. No. I got it. Nope. Good. Got it.
My head. Instead, I'm going under. So now I'm getting this banned on Twitch for showing feet and for singing licensed music.
But only the last segment of the show. This is the last.
They
part.
don't listen this long.
Can you not show feet on Twitch?
Bare feet.
Bare
I
feet.
think he had socks on. I didn't see any.
Fucking cops, man. Come on.
I didn't see any ankle. I think we're fine.
Man,
So
Sum
I'm not
41
degenerate.
Sum 41 had Will Sasso in a music video. Oh. I hope he's doing okay.
Man, I can't believe you put bowling over apple pie.
Bowling
really-
rules.
Bowling's cool, but like
Have a trophy.
Apple pie is not even a top tier pie.
that's fair. Okay. Well,
No.
not gonna get into this. That's all right. We've all got our rankings, and we're gonna stick
Pumpkin
with them.
baby.
Pumpkin
pecan.
over apple, easy,
Yep.
easy.
All right, there we
Boston
go.
cream, cherry.
I think pumpkin pie is
Weird.
disgusting.
Good pumpkin
You're
pie.
disgusting. Go take a bath.
I can't. There's no bathtub here currently. I want to get one put in.
Pumpkin pie can be very good, but I think most pumpkin pies are mediocre. How about that?
Okay, I could
Fair.
agree with that assessment.
it's very
There's
easy-
a lot of bad.
Yeah.
It's very easy to make a boring pumpkin pie. I'll say that.
I just think it's gross. I just think it's gross.
Also, I think the less a pumpkin pie tastes like pumpkin, the better it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I would say.
But also the spice that is used to cover over the pumpkin flavor is not a good mix. I don't like the pumpkin pie. You know what's good? A lemon meringue pie.
Yeah,
Okay,
lemon
right.
meringue's pretty good.
Yeah.
Take a key
That's good
lime.
ass pie.
Key lime.
Also
is
better
up
than
there.
cherry.
Key lime?
Key lime.
Nah.
Banana cream?
Yeah.
I'll have banana cream pie.
All
I'm
my-
not too good for it.
My favorite
I'd
pies
fucks
are
for
all
that.
like esoteric southern pies that nobody's ever heard of. So
What is it called? Like a
it's chocolate
Lingonberry pie.
chocolate chest
the hell
chocolate
else.
chest pie.
That sounds delicious.
Pretty
What
good.
is
Is that a
Yeah,
cheese
chest
on it? Does
pie.
that
No,
have
it's-
cheese on it?
Pretty much just like a pecan pie with chocolate chips in it.
sweet custard
Or something.
Oh,
There's maybe a little more to it than that. But anyway. All right. Let's leave it there. Bombcast
Okay.
at giantbomb.com. Everybody's got their list, and they're sticking to it. So that's the end of that. Coming in hot this week off of the holiday weekend, so we're kind of getting stuff together content-wise, but sounds like stuff's happening. We're going to play some Spellbreak at some point.
Yeah.
Gonna play
Yeah,
some
play some
Avengers,
Tony Hawk here pretty
more,
soon.
Some more Tony Hawk.
tomorrow, in fact?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got some other stuff happening.
We're gonna take a pass on the after show this week, but I'm gonna try and get a stream together. Play some old games this evening.
What kind of old games are you going to play?
I'm not sure yet. I kind of want to. I've been messing around with this DOS
I
core
was just about to ask if
on
you
the
streamed any of that 486 core yet.
a little bit, but I've got like Abuse installed and some other stuff like
Ooh.
that, and some. Abuse is a classic video game from the 90s.
Made by crack.com.
Made by crack.com. Not cracked.com.
No, very different. A very different.
That would have
Sylvester P. Smythe did not work on this product.
It's a very different .com.
Yeah.
So do you just have a mouse hooked up to your Mister permanently now?
I do.
Man,
yeah.
that's so weird. That's so weird.
But I have for a while because I use the Atari ST core and the Amiga core and some other stuff. So yeah, it's.
Can it just use can it take a regular mouse and make it a SNES mouse?
Yes.
Okay. I should play some more.
Or a light gun in a lot of cases as well for light gun games.
I should play some Mario Paint.
I think I've played this.
What, Abuse?
Yeah.
Oh, Abuse is like pretty influential, I would say. Wouldn't you say? Well, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's
been around.
It's the first
Soldat maybe wouldn't have happened without Abuse in some ways.
It's the first like side scroller with like free 360-degree aim that I can remember.
Yeah.
So,
look at that.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned for some old games later today and a bunch of stuff as we get to it later in the week. Thank you all for being here. How's the weather?
Thank you for having us.
Weather check. Has anybody done an air quality check before we get out of here?
Still orange outside.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wait. Do you mean orange?
Has been fine, but
do you mean orange on the AQI scale or like physically orange outside?
No, actually orange.
Both. All right.
Like the air this morning here was fine, but it looked like the end of the world outside.
Yeah,
it still kind of does.
It was it was a very weird shade of yellow outside this morning here. It's really strange times.
There's a bunch of new fires.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around the state.
Yeah.
So, and we got a fire warning through Wednesday, I think.
'Tis the season.
Or some people got some people's power got taken out yesterday, and it's going to be out through Wednesday because they live in an area that might catch on fire if the power was on. I think between that,
so
like,
cool.
It's a cool state.
Very cool.
It's a great.
I don't know
place to
how
be.
they get away with. I don't know how the power company here. I don't know if PG&E gets away with the notion of just like, hey, we're going to just shut your power off because too many people are using it and we don't have enough to go around. It's like, motherfucker, then you need to upgrade your shit. And also, hey, we're going to have to turn the power off because our shit is old and it might catch on fire if we leave it on when it's windy because it's so dry out. It's like, then motherfucker, replace your shit! What the fuck?
They're responsible for one thing.
Yeah, deliver the fucking power. And when people say, like, oh, too many people want the power.
Pacific gas.
That's your job, man. Figure it out. That's what you're here for. Oh boy. All right. Well, provided everybody's power stays on, we'll be back with more stuff later in the week. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been the Giant Bombcast. We'll see you next week.
Motherfuckers.
Bye.